Welcome back to another episode of Under Further Review. We have a good one today. 1 hour of fun sports talk between the three of us, and then we have a few interviews, so it should come out to 2 hours worth of content. We had Christian Benford just wrote a book. Mike and I got to have that conversation earlier today. We're recording on Thursday as we speak. And then tomorrow, we're going to do a pre-recorded, or I should say post-recorded at this point, episode or interview with Jared Carrabis, who does the Dead Ball podcast. I think that's what it's called. Section 10 podcast, which is his Red Sox podcast. And that made me start thinking because I was trying to think of the opener for this week. And I was kind of going over some things. And I know March Madness just happened, and we'll talk about that. But I was also thinking about how involved with the Red Sox community Jared Carrabis is. And it started making me think back to my fandom with like the Mets and like when I got into sports. And I was thinking to like sitting. I don't know if you guys remember when Carlos Beltran in 2005, I believe it was, stared at strike three from Adam Wayne.
Oh yeah,
A nasty curve.
oh yeah.
After that, I sat and watched. It was a school night. I'll never forget this. And I stared at my TV screen for like 20 minutes in shock because I couldn't believe he stared at that with, I think it was bases loaded or second and third that night. But yeah, I just think sports is a sickness, honestly. I've come to conclusion with that the obsession that the people who watch like football every single week, baseball every single night, basketball, whatever else it is, and get obsessed with their teams and just follow it to the point where they're yelling at the screen and it just like makes or break how their night feels if their team wins or loses. It is a sickness. But can you guys think back to when you first like really got into it? Because I know you guys actually, a fun fact, both Yankees and Jets fans here. So
Heyo, odd couples. How you doing? Yeah, I mean it's weird for me. Are your parents Jets and Yankee fans too?
So I'll be honest, my mom does not care one slight bit about sports, and
Okay.
my grandpa did not watch football, but he was a diehard Yankee fan. So
Okay.
I picked that up. My issue was I love the color green when I was a little kid,
Yeah.
and I come from a family of Giants fan, literally the only Jet fan, and I love the color green. I just had to be different, and then it became exactly what Steve. It wasn't a sickness; it's a disease where I got heavily invested, got season tickets, and it just went downhill from there.
Yeah, so kind of the same thing with me. I mean, only Jets fan in my whole family too, both sides. Like both sides are pretty big Giants fans. My grandpa had like season tickets and would go like a lot. So like growing up, I would always hear about this guy, the big tuna, Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells, you know, what Bill Parcells? And I'm like 4 or 5 years old. I'm like, who the heck is this guy? So I'm actually going to get a haircut in Seagirt one time, right as he actually became the Jets head coach. And I walk in and he's getting his haircut like right next to me. I don't know what the heck's going on. My dad's like talking to this old guy. Whatever. My dad's like, "That's pretty cool, right?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "That was Bill Parcells." I'm like, "All right." And then I go to my friend's house. My like neighborhood were all Jets fans, basically. So I became a Jets fan. I think the week or two before the Monday Night Miracle game.
What a week!
Oh my gosh. I remember going to sleep, waking up that day, and just having my friend's dad meet us at the bus stop, all pumped. He was at the game. I was like, what's going on? And this is like before social media and stuff, obviously. So they won. I'm like, they won. So I get to school, obviously. I'm on the computer at school real quick, obviously, trying not to get in trouble and see they won. I was like, so that was probably like my first big thing with the Jets. And the Yankees, I mean, it's very simple. Love you, Joe Buck. Back at the track, at the wall, we are tied. Jim Lehrett's 96 home run was basically the moment I fell in love with sports.
you're going back.
Yeah,
man.
I didn't have a choice. It was just one of those things where it was the Yankees or just don't watch it all. And,
Yeah. I mean, all my family are Yankees
and
fans.
obviously I took it a step further. Got it tattooed on me. So
Did you?
oh, sure did.
I love it. I absolutely love that.
But going back to where you said where you had that moment where you just stared at the TV, mine came really late. It was probably when Altuve hit that home run to win the game. What was that, 2019 with the cheating?
Yeah.
And I just remember looking at Aroldis Chapman standing there on the mound in disbelief And I equally sat there. And I remember my wife at the time, my girlfriend, was like, "Hey, you're going to turn the TV off?" And I said, "Just don't talk to me. Just don't talk to me." It was so unbelievable. I think that was like 102 mile an hour fastball, and he dead red. Not fishy at all.
The harder you throw it, the further it goes.
Not at all.
Not fishy at all. That was probably, it took a long time, but that was probably my moment. The Jets don't really give that,
No, for me they did.
I don't know. I've never, they disappoint me so often. I just don't get hurt.
So the last time I truly got hurt by sports was, I forget what season it was, 2021 maybe. The last year of Adam Gase, the Greg Roman all-out blitz.
Oh yeah, no,
they
that's
lose the game, and then the next game they lose and they don't end with Trevor Lawrence. Which hindsight, all right, the Jets would have probably screwed him up too.
Yeah.
But I took a walk 6 blocks to the beach, just stared at the open ocean for about 5-10 minutes.
Oh man, no,
it was over.
Yeah. Now you know what, the zero blitz to end the game really, it was just one of those things for me. I didn't really care. I was upset at the time because I really did think Trevor Lawrence was the second coming.
Oh, so did I.
Okay, so the Jets are kind of like the Mets. You've had a lot of heartache with that. I have to ask this just because you haven't won a Super Bowl since '69. It's been a long time. There's been a lot of tough moments for Jets fans. Was the Adam Gase time period the worst in Jets history?
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no. Yeah, I don't think so.
I would say probably the last 2 years.
Yeah, I would easily the last 2 years, the Sala Rogers.
Like we weren't around for Richie Kotite.
Yeah, no.
But it was.
Well, to be fair, the last two, the Gase, the year that we got Wilson, rivaled Kotite in terms of that we were impeding.
Yeah. Yep,
but I think we all expected this is the way it's supposed to go. The last 2 years, I think most of us got ourselves up saying this is not how it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say the last 2 years have been the worst 2 years of my life.
That's the worst when that happens. when you bring in like star players like Rodgers and you expect so much from them, and then it just gets stomped out, or the rug just gets taken out from underneath you. It was kind of like a few years ago when the Mets had Scherzer and Verlander, and
oh my gosh,
everybody was kind of.
But you guys got something for him. We just flat out released them.
That's true.
Yeah,
I mean,
to be fair, that was the trades they made with Scherzer and Verlander were incredible. So
yeah. I mean, that GM was great. It's a shame that baseball came after him after the season, and I forget what the ridiculous thing that happened. It was right when Stearns got in. He was going to be president of baseball operations.
I think that was that the guy that was with the Angels?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it was something with international money, international pool money. He manipulated it or something like that.
I love Stearns. Best GM, best commissioner in all sports.
Well, think about what the Mets have now, which makes it so special. Is Cohen, Mets fan, grew up a Mets fan, diehard Mets fan. Stearns, listen to any interview he's ever done. He's great. He's a mastermind for baseball, but he's also a diehard Mets fan. So everybody.
Hey, give Mrs. Cohen a lot of credit too. Alex is doing such a good job with off the field stuff. I just from Mets fans in general that have gone to games already, they've said it's just more of a friendly atmosphere. Because don't get me wrong, that place is beautiful.
Yeah.
But I've been there twice and it just feels so big.
Have you seen outside of it though?
Yeah.
They have plans though for it.
Oh yeah. They're gonna get rid of all the chop shops and stuff, which they should. But that whole what are they trying to build a casino and stuff like that?
I mean, they've committed to a huge amount of development money. And I didn't think Cohen was going to honor it, but he's going to.
Endless.
Well, he's going to win somewhere else. Stevie Bobby Axelrod Cohen doesn't lose in one place and win anywhere else.
Yeah,
he wins everywhere.
Well, hopefully they follow through on it because you remember when the Yankees built Yankee Stadium, they were supposed to develop the surrounding area as well. And unfortunately, they built the park next door, and that was it. They didn't do any urban development.
That's too much to ask from the Bronx. Like you can have aspirations to do it, but to actually see that go through, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, but most of these teams are committed. Like the Jets and Giants, when they built their stadium, committed to it, urban development in the area. And I guess they kind of have if you drive around Route 3 a little bit. But most of these teams end up petering off and just not doing it. I really do think Cohen's going to follow through on it.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, he's got way too much to gain and not a lot to lose besides money and a little bit of eminent domain. Which pays the people off, so.
Just a tiny bit.
Hate to be black and white, but that's what he's going to do for the better of everyone.
You brought up a good point, John, though. His wife is equally as passionate about this project as he is.
Yeah.
and she like interacts with the fans. She's at most of their home games. She's just going all in every day. Like you see a new picture of her. She has a Mets jacket, Mets shirt on.
Yeah.
She
I think it's a big reason why they got Soto.
Yeah.
Because, like, she's a great salesman because look who her husband is. Like, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. She might just do it with a smile, but she's still taking, she's still doing what she's got to do to get. And like you said, she grew up like a huge Mets fan, apparently. Like, he grew up like a Mets fan, but apparently she was like a diehard, gung-ho, love the Mets, like Stearns. Stearns grew up a Mets fan.
That was her connection with her grandpa, I think she says that he was a diehard and kind of rubbed off on her. It's just nice to see. They've put so much into this franchise. But the other thing is, like, going off your point, how she was a salesperson, like, money is, to these superstars, I don't think it's doing it anymore. I don't think it's enough to get them there, because there was reports after Soto signed with the Mets, and that apparently people equaled the Mets offered, or pitched a little more. I don't know the exact numbers.
Yeah, we'll never know either. It's bad business to know on Boris's part.
Yeah, but it sounds like that people were in the ballpark of the Mets. And as we know, and Mike, we were texting about this a few weeks ago, but I truly think with baseball terms, I think it's why DeGrom moved on so quickly in the offseason from the Mets, is that tax is just crazy in New York. So if he can go get a fat contract with the Texas Rangers, where he's not getting heavily taxed there, I think he's going to take that at the end of the day. So,
yeah, I think some people, I don't, like I said, there's the New York tax where it's literal tax, but then, you do get paid more being here. And they do offset that tax money, or to a point. But, I don't think that's typically the end all be all. Like, I don't think Soto cared about the New York tax. I think he just wanted his money and he was going to go where he wanted to go. But yeah, I do think there are players. I mean, look at football players, but like Tyreek Hill said the reason why he chose the Dolphins over the Jets was taxes.
Yeah. And look, I mean, you sign with Cohen. If you even sign, like, say, a lower end player, $3 million.
Yeah.
Cohen knows and gets a lot of returns, and they're always positive. So you invest some money with him, that 3 turns into what, 5 or 6? You're looking at a lot more money than you thought, and a lot more money than people would on other teams would make.
Yeah, I think that it's a thing, but me and Steve had a huge. We went back and forth on this for quite a while.
Did you?
Steve, yeah, nice. Oh yeah. Where Steve's stance was, why play here when there's taxes, and my stance was, it's New York. That's why you play here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much as it's New York, where it was in like the 80s and 90s before, like, everyone was able to see you every day. I mean, it's not the 50s and 60s where we're reading it in newspapers and we're only seeing people once a week. But I mean, the highlight shows when we were growing up on, Sports Center and all that were like, we wouldn't miss the 11 p.m. Sports Center to hear whoever talk about the home runs and stuff.
Yep.
But now it's like, oh, can watch it on your phone real quick. Oh, and that's very accessible sport now.
Yeah, I think that it's crazy where the world's come for sports, but it's New York is New York, and players
it always will be.
Specifically in baseball now with Cohen, players want to be here. Basketball, I think it's one of those things where the Knicks are finally starting to get good, where players want to come here, and for Jets and Giants, I don't think either team's really ever had a problem getting talent here.
Yeah, well, it looks like we're going to get a lot of the like Caribbean and Hispanic players, whereas the LA market is getting all the Asian players.
Absolutely.
The Yankees would
it's
get,
funny
which
you
is
just
a
said
problem.
that. I was thinking about that on Monday. I actually was going to text Steve about that and say, hey, and I didn't do it because I'm like, you know what, it's not, I'm not going to do that. But I was like, did you ever notice that, like, we get all the Caribbean and South American players, and the Asian players don't want to play here. And it's truthfully, when you have a family and you're managing in Japan and such, the flight's miserable. Yeah. I don't care if you have a private jet or not. The flight's miserable. Yep. So I completely understand that. But if I'm not going to lie to myself. I hope that the Dodgers fail miserably.
Well, it's fun to have a villain again because, I mean, Brian Cashman, he is the owner of the Yankees. I mean, a lot of people don't know that he's not a sole owner. He's got a lot of, minority owners that he has to keep happy, and everyone needs to get paid, which is why, like, Hal's cheap. No, he's not. He's just got so many people that he has to keep happy. Whereas Steve Cohen, where Steve Cohen made his money outside.
Yeah,
where Hal's making it inside.
Like you just said, it's for Steve Cohen. He's a fan. This is a player.
Yeah.
This is, it doesn't make a difference. Loss, gain makes no difference.
No.
For the Yankees, I think they're all legitimately fans at heart and want to succeed.
Oh, absolutely.
The end of the day, it's about making money as well. So.
Yeah. I mean, they haven't had a losing season since basically we've been born. So
yeah, no,
we're doing something right.
I want to know what you guys thought on what they did during the offseason. So their pivot from Soto was to go after Goldschmidt to get Bellinger to bring in. Was it Williams in the bullpen?
It's Williams.
Yeah, Devin Williams. Yeah.
It was. I would say 2/3 of those I want to spotlight because a lot of people got excited because of what their names were. Obviously, Goldschmidt had a great career with the Diamondbacks and Cardinals. Bellinger's been hit or miss most seasons, but he was pretty decent with the Cubs, and he had a few good seasons with the Dodgers too. But my thought behind it was like it felt like a very Mets before they got Cohen type offseason where you bring in these superstars or former superstars that are creeping up in age, getting a little past their prime, and you're hoping that it's going to revamp the fan base and bring a spark to the locker room. But like, were you excited about those moves, or were you just kind of like, whatever, this is what life after Soto is looking like?
So I was really skeptical on a lot of it at first until we signed Fried, and then I was all in. That was my big move, and I felt confident after that. Bellinger, to be fair, had a really good year last year. And I while he's not the MVP Bellinger he was, I figured if we could get what he did last year, I think he's got 3 years remaining. Or is it 2? 2 or 3 years remaining. I was comfortable with it. Goldschmidt did nothing for me. I wasn't crazy about it. I actually I would have liked to see Alonso here, especially for the deal he got. It would have been nice, but the Mets needed him more. But the Goldschmidt deal didn't do much for me. But he's, ideally he should be better than Rizzo. And Devin Williams been a super big disappointment to this point for me, but I like it.
It's always tough to make your money in a 1-year contract when you've never been here. And that's what Devin Williams is trying to do, especially at his age. Like that's brutal, man. Especially you guys know where Devin Williams is from? I don't think he's from around here, so he doesn't.
I actually looked this up. I'll tell you right now. I looked this up the other day. He's from the middle of the country.
Okay, yeah. So this is probably a huge culture shock to him, and he's probably never been to he's been to Yankee Stadium before, but he's never.
Yeah, he's from Missouri.
Okay.
Missouri, the Bronx.
I thought Goldschmidt was going to play less games than Kevin Youkilis did in the Bronx. So far, he's proven me wrong. And Bellinger, it looks like they're all just placeholders. It's coming down to the kids, man. I mean, if Dominguez shows up, if what's his name? Ben Rice? I keep saying Greg Bird.
Ben Rice,
he's reminded me so much of Greg Bird.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Well, he is the second coming of Greg Bird.
Yeah, let's hope.
But he's been very good to this point.
Yeah. Just make the playoffs, get Stanton back healthy for the playoffs because he turns into something amazing come playoff time, and, get the pitching in order. The pitching right now is obviously not going to be great. I thought they were going to trade for Alcantara before the season started, but I guess they might revisit that depending on what they ask for.
Yeah, I think it'll be dependent on who. You've got guys coming back. Heel's going to be back. I don't know. I think we're getting close with Heel.
Yeah.
And then you've got Clark Schmidt, who's already throwing. So, and keep, those are two guys that were at points last year. For the most part of all year, Heel was at the top, top 3 of the rotation. And Clark Schmidt looked like the best pitcher in the rotation.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
When he played. So I think that while they're 7-5, they're leading the division. This is by no means a finished product yet.
It's still 20 degrees.
I have the utmost confidence that when those guys get back, like Clark Schmidt, I have a lot of faith in. I really do. Yeah. I think he could be something. And Luis Heel, rookie of the year last year. He's you're going to get those guys back. It hurts not having Garrett Cole. It sucks, actually, to be completely honest. But you got Max Fried. You've got Clark Schmidt. You've got Luis Heel coming back. You're going to end up having I could do without Warren. We can get him out of the rotation. That'd be great. Stroman does fine as a 4 or 5 in my.
He's a great first half pitcher. He's a good first half pitcher.
Yeah, I think that they're fine, and if they do revisit the Alcantara deal, which I'm not crazy about because you're gonna have to give him a lot of money, I think, to retain him. But
Yep.
I think you revisit that, and you might be talking about one of the best rotations in baseball. You could. So
Yeah, I mean, and they're so deep still on the bullpen. I mean, they got Loizaga coming back still. Hopefully,
I forgot about Loizaga. Yeah,
Ian Hamilton's still here.
Yeah, Ian Hamilton should be back next week, I thought.
Yeah, you have Shreve, who or not Shreve. Wow, Jason Shreve.
Yeah, that's a wait.
Who's that? Weaver.
Throwback. Wow. Luke Weaver.
Wow. And then I think Devin Williams will be all right. I mean, I don't like that he's not a strikeout pitcher per se, especially in Yankee Stadium, but I think he'll figure it out.
Yeah, and worst comes to worst, you throw it back to Weaver as the closer.
Absolutely.
He was fine up until that last playoffs, until the World Series. So, I mean, you got options.
A little too high on your starting pitching, though. I think you're giving Marcus Stroman a little too much credit, especially after last season. And who knows if he's going to have a bounce back year. From what I'm seeing, he's had okay starts to begin this year.
Just eat innings, man. Eat innings, get us to the trade deadline.
But you have Carlos Carrasco in your rotation right now, and I know you have guys coming back, but that's rough. And
to be fair, I don't think Carrasco was supposed to make the rotation or the team.
He signed to a minor league deal.
They literally had to make something happen last minute. It was one of those things. But yeah, you're not wrong. I don't disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, and I've told you this before, Mike. I don't love Rodon.
No, I don't like his demeanor.
His personality stinks. The way he treats his manager and the rest of the teammates, it doesn't seem great. And he gets in his head way too easily. He reminds me of, honestly, some of the Mets pitchers before they left, like a Steven Matz. And like even when Wheeler was here, Wheeler would get through the first time around the lineup, and then one guy would get on base, and he would just implode. And he seemed to get that under the wraps when he got to the Phillies because now he's one of the – we were talking best pitchers in baseball the other day. He's top 3. So he's turned it around. But that's how Carlos Rodon is. Like he's just somebody who's a head case. I know he pitched pretty well in the playoffs last year from what I remember. You guys tell me.
He was decent. Last year overall he was decent. But to be fair, Max Fried wouldn't be here if the Yankees felt Carlos Rodon was going to fill that role of number 2. Mm-hmm. Let's just make that completely transparent. Max Fried would not have gotten the deal he got to be be here if Rodon did what he should have or what he was supposed to do or projected to do. But at the end of the day, he signed off of 2 good years in the Giants organization. He was awful before that.
It's pretty easy to pitch in that ballpark, too.
Exactly. I agree. Me and Steve had a full-length conversation on that, and I agree with everything Steve said. Rodon's just I don't like.
He'll compete. Demeanor. He'll compete his you-know-what off every time he's out there, and he'll take the ball every 5th day, which is great.
Yeah.
But you don't know if you're going to get Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde, and it's not just on the mound, but off it, too.
His arrogance is quite annoying.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, we had a really good.
But I think it's what makes him great, too, a little bit, you know? When he's on, like, opening day, he came out on fire, that guy.
I guess that's my issue with him specifically is what he did opening day and then what we've gotten. You know, it's just like as a pitcher, I think your greatest thing, and when it comes to pitching, the greatest thing you could be is consistent. In my opinion, like if you said, "What do you want out of your starting pitcher?" Consistency, and he's not that. And to be fair, Stroman's not that either. So I agree. We should revisit our conversation the other day on this podcast, Steve.
Yeah, actually. I was going to talk to Jared Carrabis about this. Keep in mind, we're recording this on a Thursday. We're going to do the Carrabis interview on Friday, and then we should get this episode out by the weekend, hopefully. And that's why I don't mind like burying the March Madness because everyone's talked about it by now, and there's more pressing subjects at this point in the week. But
there's 3 good games too, probably 3 to 4 good games out of.
Yeah. The tournament.
The Final Four was great.
Final
Four was great.
We knew that was coming, though, because the way these teams were ranked in the history of the Ken Palm, that they were going to be very competitive during the Final Four. But I think the biggest shocker, and everyone's, again, talked about it at this point, was Duke losing in the Final Four. That was the headlines. To me, the championship, I fell asleep at halftime. I hate to admit it. It's just that was one thing I wanted to talk about. We'll get to this. Is that what is it? 8:45, 8:50 start time for the championship game? Like, how are people on a Monday night supposed to watch that? It was a great game. I watched the replay and all the highlights, and Clayton was, he'll go down as a historic NCAA guard, like a Kemba Walker type player, where you remember him for being the driving force and making these crazy shots to get his team to win. But for baseball, I have one subject that Mike and I were kind of going back and forth about because, John, at this point, I'm sure you're very aware of Paul Skeens and what he's been accomplishing during his first year with Pittsburgh Pirates. And it's a historic pathway that he's going down. And he's going to, as long as injury, knock on wood, does not start to shape in, he's going to be one of the best pitchers of our time. So we were thinking back to electric pitchers that were coming up, or pitchers that created a lot of buzz, I should say. And the only pitcher I could think of was Steven Strasburg when he came up with the Nationals, because I sent Mike an article and it was like, people were just praising him like he was the next coming of Jesus at the time. Mm-hmm. And I remember that first start. It was on ESPN. People were huge on him, thought he was going to be the next Nolan Ryan type pitcher. And, he had a great first start, and then injuries, crept in. I don't know what exactly we were going back and forth about. I think we were talking about the buzz of the two pitchers. I thought it was equal, if not bigger, Steven Strasburg's buzz than Skeens. Skeens only played 1 year of college baseball, so I feel like that kind of hampered him a little bit, but then he was awesome in the minor leagues. But so was Strasburg. Would you say they had equal buzz at the time? And can you think of anyone else who had this type of buzz heading into the MLB?
So I've got two names right off the bat, and they played for the same team. I'm going to go back a little bit, going back to the 90s.
Okay.
I'm going to go Kerry Wood and Mark Pryor.
Yes, that's a good one.
When those dudes came up, oh my gosh. I remember was it Kerry Wood, his first start, he had 20 strikeouts or something like that? Or he had a 20 strikeout game or something like that. But the same thing, injuries, And think how good the Cubs would have been back then if those two guys stayed healthy. To Skeens, he's also, let's be real. It's good for him.
Yeah.
I mean, his girlfriend's pretty much one of the top influencers in the world. Well, not the world, but in America. So he gets a lot of eyeballs on that too. Not his fault, because he's filthy.
Yeah.
He's something else. And I watched a thing on MLB Network, I think yesterday, with D-Row and who's on MLB Network? He was on the Giants and possibly the A's. It might have been Peavy. He's talking about how Skeens lowered his arm slot even more. So everything's coming out of the same arm slot now. And they did like one of those breakdowns where it shows the pitch by pitch, and that splinker thing and fastball are coming out of the same things. 2 words: good luck.
Yeah.
Well, because he is filthy.
I love the argument where people are with. Well, first of all, Steve, I want to correct you. Actually, he played more than 1 year in college, just so you know.
Played at Air Force too, right?
He did, but he was a hitter.
Yeah.
1 year,
and he was good.
Oh, okay.
And he was a good hitter
As
at
a
that.
pitcher. Yes.
Yeah, no, but that makes it even crazier if you think about it. I'm sure he's pitched most of his life, but he went into college as a hitter, and a decent one at that, and then went to LSU and became this elite stud at pitching.
Yeah.
So his pitch repertoire. That's what me and you were arguing about at the time. Was we were saying I felt that Skeens has the most hype of all time, and Steve had said, what I said was Skeens is better than Strasburg was as a prospect.
It was,
and then it led to Steve saying, no.
It was the buzz thing, and I have the text messages. It was buzz, and then you got into Skeens is better than Strasburg.
Yeah.
Which I did not agree with you. I think Skeens is going to be a very good pitcher. And what did I say? He could be the best of all time. Not all time, but our time, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was the buzz thing. I like the Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood comparison.
Yeah, it's a good one. I didn't even think about that.
It's a shame what happened to them. On the hitter side, you could put Bryce Harper in that category because he had so much.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He was getting compared to the next Babe Ruth person.
The Nationals were so cool back then. I just want to make that very clear. The Nationals were so cool with Strasburg and Harper.
Not just that, they had Davey J as the manager.
That
my gosh, so much.
That for an
Rendon when he was able to play.
Oh, they had a lot, dude. They were so good. Like, it was just so cool.
I want to throw in there, and I don't mean to go back to these guys, the Mets, But Shamanaya last year did the same thing where he changed his arm angle and was almost coming like 3/4 more towards the sidearm type thing. And it was cool listening in the playoffs to how he got there. Because, like in the bullpens, they have 2 pitchers mound. So he would have the catcher sit on the one side and he'd go to the other pitcher's mound and throw like that. Or he would stand off to the side of the mound, I believe, something like that, just to get that angle down. And then eventually he worked his way to the pitcher's mound. But, I don't 100% love messing with pitchers because if you look at history, if you put a starter into the bullpen and then try to put him back in the starting rotation, pitchers are head cases. They usually don't work out. Look at Jabba Chamberlain.
Oh, stop. I was going to say. I didn't want to say it. Jabba's a 4-letter word for a reason.
It wasn't even the worst.
Love the guy, but
Scott Proctor was 10 times worse than Jabba Chamberlain was. Yeah. Scott Proctor brought a garbage can out of the pitcher's mound at Yankee Stadium and burned his jersey.
Oh, Scott Proctor.
Dude was sick.
In my opinion, I'm sure there's other cases, but Adam Wainwright, because we talked about him, he was in the Cardinals bullpen when they beat the Mets that year, and then he became a phenomenal starter. But, yeah, also the same thing with, once you get to the minors, once you get to the pros, if it's not broken, don't fix it type thing. These guys have been doing it their whole lives. Why are you going to make changes? But I don't know. Skeens, Manaea showed that you can do it last year. Skeens is a freak. I'm sure he's going to be able to make the change. And if anything, it's just batters hate when you are changing angles like that. So if you have a pitcher throwing over to, well, actually, it's going to be a little different. So if you have Skeens throwing from that 3/4 spot, and then you have a pitcher afterwards that's straight over the top, batters are not going to love that for the Pirates.
Yeah, not just that. I mean, Skeens is a big boy, too. He's not 5'9". He's tall, so it's coming from who knows how close now.
He just has to make sure, what's her name, Livy Dunn or something, doesn't disrupt his career path there.
I don't know. I just watched that GQ interview with them, and I fell in love with Paul Skeens. That dude is like a boiled piece of chicken.
Oh, yeah, he's just whatever.
I was telling Steve about it. It's the greatest interview I've ever watched in my life.
Boring, right?
Pretty low-key and boring.
He is, I honestly don't think he cares at all about baseball or anything in life. He's just existing. He's I think that for him, it's just something. You know what I mean? You asked him, when he won the Rookie of the Year thing, they brought it up in the GQ, hey, why did you act that way? And he's like, you just won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, she was so excited, albeit it being pretty fake, but
Yeah, to me, I think he might be my favorite baseball player right now because he's so bland
right now.
He's so bland. It's so funny how bland he is. You can't make it up. That's natural.
No. She's got to be losing sleep that he's becoming bigger than her. She seems like that type, doesn't she?
Or she'll just ride to the top.
I take that back. I don't want a lawsuit. I don't want a Pat McAfee.
Yeah, I was about to say, Livy.
Allegedly. Just say allegedly.
We'd love to have you on your podcast. We would love to have you on here and talk baseball with you. So disregard what Steve said. He just didn't eat dinner yet. We love you.
Angry a little bit.
We love you, Livy. Please.
Yes.
Let's take a break, though. Let's kick it over to our first interview. I would love to bring Carrabis in, but I want to get the Christian Benford in just because we have it recorded already. Benford's doing some big things during the offseason. Just signed a 4-year extension, I believe.
4-year, $76 million. Go sign his book. Comes with a coloring book.
Yeah, he has a book coming out. What can be I can't think of cooler off seasons. He's accomplishing all his goals that he's had since day one, which the book was one of those goals, actually. So let's kick it over there, and then we'll come back and talk a little football. So, yeah, we're real excited about this one. We have Christian Benford with us today, cornerback of the Buffalo Bills, has a new book out, which is really cool. It sounds like it was a childhood dream to write this book. I was reading. Can you just go into that, what the inspiration behind it was? And the book is called Stylish Safari, The Adventures of Being You. It sounds like it's something, along with football, that's always been a goal of yours. Why now? And what was the story behind it and the inspiration?
Now I just got some more time to more developed in the league. I'm not really there yet, but I'm more developing understanding of my time. And so I like to read, and I like writing a little bit, and I'm a big family man. But the book came about because I'm big in fashion. I love clothes. I love different styles. I love learning about different people's styles, and wearing it. So when those two ideas came together, I wanted to write a book about fashion, and I want to impact and influence kids as well that just have the ideas of wanting to be themselves, but sometimes due to like bullying or social media, they don't really cater to themselves. They cater to the environment or just the society or what's the society norm. But I want to teach them like it's okay to be yourself rather than what you see on Instagram or TikTok, what you see celebrities wear. You don't really need that stuff. What you wake up and wear and what you say you like, you should be comfortable wearing that rather than waking up and wearing something that you think somebody else might like or somebody else will wear because you're wearing the clothes, not them at the end of the day. And I want to teach kids to find that comfort space and open their eye gaze of the different stuff. And to the ones the part that's like making fun of those kids as being different, I wanted to open their eyes as well, and that it's okay to be different. Because sometimes, a lot of times with kids, they haven't been on the earth for too long. They're narrow based vision, so they haven't seen too much. So sometimes something new, they kind of make fun of, or they don't know how to approach it. And with the book, I want to touch out to different parties to teach them that what you see, those different styles, that's okay. That's them. And it's okay to accept someone with a different style rather than making fun of them. Applaud them, not point at with laughter at them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I want to teach kids and through a book style, through a lot of visuals and something more warming because that will stick more with the kid than anything to rewire their brain for the better.
Yeah, no, that's great. And it's an everyday battle, I feel like, between all age groups leading up from when they first get to, kindergarten up to high school, even maybe even past high school into
Yeah.
early adulthood. A lot of times when people write books and they have a plot behind a book, it comes from personal experience, I would say. Do you feel like this is something that you struggled with early on in your life?
I didn't, yeah, a little bit, but I didn't really struggle with it too much because I always had the confidence to be myself and not really care what everybody else has to say. And I knew some people that didn't have that type of confidence, and that's okay. Everybody has a different path and are wired differently, and that's okay. But yeah, when I was younger, I was big into Power Rangers, and I was like a diehard Power Ranger fan. Like, I didn't care what nobody had to say. Um, and so I wear my Power Ranger watch, and if anybody says something, I go toe to toe with them. You know what I'm saying? And then, like as I got older, like some of my guys like in the league, like I wear a certain style, and like some of my friends will wear like my friend Diggs, Stephon Diggs, my friends from Neil, they'll wear like some exotic type outfits, and I think it's cool, but other people got something to say, and it's like you don't got why you got to worry about them. They rocking what they want to wear because they like it. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. So yeah, I would say that's a little bit of my side of how that book came about in the most part.
It's a good message. Very good message.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Do you have any plans or have you been doing this? Like, I know it's like the off season, but I'm sure there's some workouts you have to do and stuff like that. But do you plan on getting into like school buildings or community locations to kind of not only just advertise and market your book, but to get the message that you're trying to get out to different communities across the nation?
Yeah, I actually did my son at his school. I did a little talk with them. I do have some more stuff planned for Buffalo. Um, and when the book comes out April 22nd, and do some more talks and more readings with the kids, just spread the message and try to help them learn and understand the world a little bit better from a different gaze.
Absolutely. Where did the vision for like the artwork come from? Were you heavily involved in that, or were you mostly doing the writing side of the book?
The artwork came from my sister, my sister Jewel Benford. She's the artsy one.
That's awesome.
I just did like the idea and the the writing and then like the directory of it. But my sister did a lot of the artwork. I just told her, and I wanted some animal characters, and I gave her like the idea, and she spit it on the screen. You know what I'm saying? On her,
Yeah.
I had to write it down. So she was the artsy one. Um, so I give my credit to her for most of the part for that artwork.
Yeah,
Cause
she crushed it. She
yeah,
did such
honestly,
a great job.
yeah. Honestly, I don't know if I could have done that.
But the writing, I'm sure, was great. And it looks like it comes out April 22nd, so it's not out yet. So, but you can pre-order it. I'm seeing it here on barnesandnoble.com. I'm sure there's other locations as well. Excited to see the full copy of it. But do you see this expanding into like a series type thing, or like can you see yourself continuing maybe with different story plots, characters, stuff like that?
Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking to my queen about that. I was in the car and just talking about next steps for Benny. And, and yeah, so definitely a series coming out. Tune in to that.
That's awesome. So a lot to look forward to. And a lot to look forward to if it's cool if we transition over to the football side too. Congrats, by the way, on the extension. That was huge, and it's just a testament to the play that you've done since you've entered the NFL. Huge story. Just going to Villanova, who's not a typical Power Five conference and getting yourself drafted in the sixth round and then starting your first year. But I'm sure there was some adversity along the way. What was it like the process of picking Villanova? Did you have other offers? And like, when did you realize that you could get to the NFL? Was there a moment for you?
Uh, yeah, I just believe this. I always had that belief to be in the NFL. I tell this story a lot, but the little dandelions where you like pick up a flower, and make a wish. My wish was always to make it to the NFL, just to be an NFL star some way somehow, and to help the world as best as I can. But my decision, yeah, I had like one other offer. I had interest, a lot of interest, but I had like one other offer, and I was like a receiver. And Villanova, like I was just cool with the coach, and I'm big on like having backup plans or like being a jack of all trades. Like I'm not just defined by football. I'm not just a football player. I'm more than that. So Villanova had like great education, business school, nursing school. I wanted to be a doctor,
Very
surprisingly.
cool.
And yeah, that role had to end short because of football. I couldn't do both. It was tough. But yeah, so Villanova, I just heard so much great things about Villanova and the camaraderie and the alumni always sticking together post grad. And I was big on that. And the other opportunities outside of football to develop yourself, to develop like your craft and who you truly are. So I was big on that. So I chose Villanova. And again, the coaches are good. I had a couple friends going there and just the ball with them. So
That's pretty cool. So I have a question about that. So you were a six round pick. So how did that underdog status kind of shape your mindset coming into the NFL? What was your thought process, as a six round pick? Did you feel like you needed to push harder, do more? Just what was that mindset like?
I feel like I always had that underdog mindset since I was a kid because I always played like kids older than me. So it was always like nobody was like had too much thoughts on like the younger kid. And then once I got to high school, it was like, all right, he's at public school. Can you really play D1? All right, he's at FCS. Can you really play at the league? You know what I'm saying? Like thoughts like that always happen. And so I always had to develop before I even made it to the league. Um, so I just stay true to myself, stay true to God. Just build my relationship with God as best as possible, making sure I'm working for Him, serving around in the best way possible for my heart, mind, and soul to Christ. Jesus Christ. And then whatever happens, happens. You know what I'm saying? But I just work as hard as I can so he could give me the room to bless because he can't bless me if I'm not working. You know what I'm saying? Or if I'm not trying my hardest, and if I'm just giving just half. Like you reap what you sow, and what it says in Galatians, you reap what you sow.
Yep.
So I want to give him my all. You know what I'm saying? Try my hardest as best as possibly as best as I can. So when I go to sleep at night, or if the outcome comes differently, it's like, all right, I tried. It's just not my time.
Absolutely. So from the, for obviously from all that and the fact that you obviously are a hard worker, unfortunately, I get to watch you twice a year. Uh, I've known a little bit about you for a while. I'm a Jets fan, which we'll get into in a little bit. But what was your biggest adjustment from college to the NFL? Like, what was the biggest leap for you?
Just understanding my body. That was the biggest one actually, because I ain't gonna lie, when I was younger, I was smacking Wendy's or like fruit roll ups and hot Cheetos. Cause the games wasn't that long. You know what I'm saying? The season not that long. And my body was cool with it. My body was prone with it. Before a game, eating fruit roll up, hot Cheetos, go to the game, catch a pick, go home. And then like during the day, we was in practice on the facility. We would practice and then go to class. So that was just anything. But once I got in the league, it was like, all right, I was getting nitpicking injuries because like I wasn't eating the right stuff. I wasn't taking care of my body at the right way. But once I learned that, like my game changed, my mind changed. I didn't feel like the season was long because I'm overworking myself, like going to facility, football stuff, go home, do football stuff, wake up, football. You know what I'm saying? Over and over and over. You're gonna naturally be like, yeah, I'm tired of this. And eating the wrong food, like from your mind to your body, just crashing. So that was probably like my biggest like transition from the college to the league, like understanding the my time and my what I should intake into my body, because like you are what you eat. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that mind body connection is massive.
Yeah,
I
just
need that.
bouncing off that real quick. Your first game in the league, because you got the starting job out of camp, was against I believe it was against Matthew Stafford, who's a future Hall of Famer. So was that kind of a quick wake up call for you, going against somebody who's so decorated in the on the Rams? And um, I guess what was that first game like for you, the experience?
honestly, like I do give respect to respect is due. Obviously, the guy's really talented. But I kind of grew up always like being the underdog and facing somebody that was like, oh, he's this, that, and the third. Oh, he got this accolade, that accolade. Oh, his name ring bells in this city and that state. So it's like hearing that type of stuff all the time. It was like I didn't really care because I always had my why to like change, help my family and make it. So like any name, I didn't really phase me. Like I didn't really care too much. It was like I felt like I needed to get mine. You know what I'm saying? So when I played that LA game, I'm gonna be honest, I really didn't even know his name, honestly, until like afterwards. Like it was like, yeah, that's Matt Stafford, da da. And I was like, okay, cool, but I need a pick. Like you know what I'm saying? I need to change the game.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I had a question for you. Obviously being a rookie coming into the league, uh, who was it that you gravitated towards in the locker room that kind of helped you and taught you to become a pro? Was there somebody that you leaned into to ask questions, or was it kind of one of those things where you were confident enough where I think I could figure this out on my own?
Nah, you mainly God kind of. It's funny, like I would pray to God to help me, obviously make him like the center and the first of everything I do. And this guy named Dane Jackson, that's like my brother. He actually signed again with us, but his locker was literally two lockers down from mine. And like we just instantly clicked, like accidentally, like almost, because he was the DB, I was the DB, and we just spent more time together over and over. So I would say him and the guy Nick McLeod, like them two, like I didn't look up to him, but I always like gravitated to them the most, to understand the league and just to have fun. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Play
I always
football.
always interested to see, you know, because it's a big adjustment, right? You go from where in college you have a structured environment to the NFL. Sometimes I feel like it gets lost in translation. So I always am interested to see, how you develop that, learning to be a pro because it is a learned thing.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And then I have one personal question, which is I think you'll get a kick out of. So I've been a lifelong Jets fan for as long as I can remember, which I'm sure, you can probably laugh at a little bit. But as a lifelong Jets fan, we love to get on Deion Dawkins. We love it. He really seems to feed off of it and unfortunately rises to the occasion almost every game. What is he like as a teammate and as a person? Because as a Jets fan, I don't, we just love to hate on him. But the reality is he's a consummate pro and he's been in the league a long time. So what is that man like as a locker room presence, as a person?
That's actually my dog. Honestly, when I got signed, he called. I actually talked to him right when I got signed for my next contract, my second contract. But he's a great dude. Really smart, has a lot of knowledge and wisdom on his shoulders. Um, Somebody that you like, if you wanted somebody else to look at somebody that's a pro or understand life, he's a good guy to talk to. Uh, he got open personality. He does have that, but he's all around a great person. He's a great person.
Yeah, he makes those Bills Jets games painful. And that leads me to and I'll pass it off to Steven after this. In terms of rivalry, what is your favorite Obviously, we have the AFC East. You've got the Dolphins. You've got the Bills. You got the Pats. You got the Jets. What is your favorite? Like, what's the one rivalry you really get up for? Like, you enjoy going to that stadium, proving the fans wrong. Which team is that?
Mm, I don't know. Like in the NFL, I don't know, but it's weird because I had a favorite college rivalry more than NFL rivalry,
Let's hear it.
and it was like Villanova versus Delaware. That was like my favorite rivalry like ever, honestly. Oh no, that was like it was that game, and in high school it was like Randallstown versus Newtown. It was like almost like backyard football. But I don't think I got the same feeling for it in the NFL because those two rivalries were so strong. Like, and the games were just like any game, no matter what the record was, that game could go both ways for both like high school and college. So it was always like, and it was always the last game of the season. So like, Villanova versus Delaware, it was always the last game of the season. And anybody could have like the crazy record, but anybody could win. It was weird. Like say one time, like I think Delaware was like they only lost like one game or something like that. It was like really nice. And if they lost, they was out the playoffs. So, but we was like two and whatever, and we came and like cooked them like bad. And it was just like stuff like that. And then, but it's always strong. It's always some type of fight. It's always built up throughout the whole week, and it's just like I don't know, like it's just a good feeling. The game that's probably like the most packed out game I've ever been in, besides JMU. But us versus Delaware is like always packed out. Like even though it'd be mad cold, it'd be packed out. And yeah, it's awesome. That game probably the most awesome game
Yeah, I
ever.
mean, in the NFL, I could see it being a little less scaled down. And also, to be fair, you guys have kind of been the leaders in the division for quite a few years. I will tell you, as a Jets fan, though, the Bills Jets game has overtaken the Pats Jets game for me. So thank you for that.
I have one more question for you. Sorry if the background noise is kicking in, but yeah, I was thinking about like all the not turnover, but the players moving on in free agency. It's so popular in the NFL, but specifically, I feel like the Bills, they're very confident in their young talent and they're very confident in their ability to develop players. And for you, like your first season, you came in and there was a first round pick that you were battling with. And I believe they brought in another corner in free agency. I could be wrong there, but you ended up winning the job. And then your sophomore campaign, you become the PFF Pro Football Focus ranked you the eighth cornerback in the league for that year. They gave you the eighth highest score. And then I think I saw something last year about being one of the most sure bets as a tackler at the cornerback position from
Nice.
PFF. Um, like, what do you contribute to, or like, how big was it for a team to believe in you? And what do you contribute to your success in the NFL? I know you kind of talked about the transition from college to NFL, but you continue to build every single season, it seems like. And I think that's why the Bills have just the utmost confidence in you. It shows in their, starting you day one, and then that you just got a contract extension and stuff. It seems like they really value your performance on the field. So I guess just like what has factored into all of that success on the field?
Um, Gotta give it to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Honestly, He the one that helped me put me through a lot. Um, I always say a prayer, and like being in my word got me through a lot. Honestly, just reading the Bible, understanding God, talking to my God, Lynn, to understand the word a little bit, because the Bible kind of gives you a good gist on how to think and what, like, to help me think through adversity. You know what I'm saying? And it gives me some type of foundation. So never feel like I'm too high, never feel like I'm too low, just keeping it stagnant, being able to be open to learn. As a man of God, never having the humility, not thinking that you bigger than anybody, or not thinking that you too small, having the confidence that you're not smaller than anybody. So that helped me a lot to learn from others, you know what I'm saying? And to keep my mind open and keep staying humble forever. Always stay humble. And just understand those adversities isn't like, it's not looking at it as something bad. Looking at it as more so it's something to craft me for what I pray for. Craft me for what I dream about. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes it get hard. Sometimes might believe, like, I might have doubts, but learning that, like, sometimes that could be the devil's work, giving you certain thoughts in your mind. Um, Looking at your own problems rather than looking at God for help and understanding. That's something that I learned in the Bible. And before learning that, my brain would be all over the place when I had doubts. But after looking at it like that, it's like, all right, let me just reground myself. And I could just move calmly more as I continue to grow each year. My faith got stronger, and I got stronger heart and mind, got more connected. So there's a lot of off the field stuff that helped me on the field. And all those starting jobs, it's just like I wasn't looking at the title. I was just looking at working hard and asking God to bless me as best as possible and grant me grace. And whatever happens, happens. And He just guides me. And the outcome became the outcome, you know? So that's probably what it helped me the most.
Absolutely. 3 seasons in, it's been a decorated career. We hope for the best moving forward. We're definitely big fans on our end here. And just to throw out there before we close out, again, Stylish Safari, The Venture of Being You. It's the debut book. It's coming out April 22nd. And I saw a post the other day. I believe there's going to be a coloring book with it too, which is really fun. That's an awesome idea. I know when my nephew comes over, the first thing he asks for is to color. So it's definitely catching the interest of that age group there. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Really awesome stuff. Really excited to see the book in the completed form, and really excited to watch you on Sundays next year.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on this call. So I'm really appreciative.
You made it really hard to root against the Bills, man. But I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, that was Christian Benford from the Buffalo Bills. True underdog story, and he talks about that a bit, how his career has kind of been an underdog story, and ever since his teenage years, I think he even said he was an underdog story. And it shows because he went to Villanova, FCS, played, I think he started from the day he stepped on campus and
Yeah,
really
freshman year.
for himself. And then he gets drafted in the 6th round late. Usually you don't get too many starters out of the 6th, 7th round. And then day one, he's starting for the Bills. Week 1 against the Los Angeles Rams, against Matthew Stafford, he's out there as the starting cornerback for the Bills. So just an incredible story for him, and he just keeps climbing. ranked last season during his sophomore campaign. He was ranked the 8th, or PFF, Pro Football Focus, graded him the 8th highest cornerback in the NFL. And then this year, I think he was ranked the number 1 tackling cornerback from PFF. So just an amazing story.
Yeah, he's viewed as, and unfortunately, like I said to him, unfortunately, I have to watch him twice a year. I mean, he is probably the best boundary corner. If not the best, he's top 3 boundary corner in the NFL. I mean, he's just the guy's a dog through and through. He's a tough corner, and like I said, and I told him this, it sucks having to root against you.
It's just the natural ability he has to play in space.
And for Jets fans that listen, it turns out Deion Dawkins is a good guy.
Yeah.
So Christian Benford was awesome. Looking forward. I'm going to get the book for my daughter. I think Steve said that he's going to get the book himself as well. Look forward to it. Great guy. Hope he has a great year and stumbles the 2 weeks he plays the Jets.
Yeah. not stumbles too bad, but
no, not stumbles too bad. I want him to his story's great. I'm a fan now of him. So I wish him nothing but the best. Look forward to the book, and we'll see you during the season.
So we're going to talk the NFL draft. I might sidetrack us here because, Mike, you probably just got this update. But Shedeur Sanders compared Mike Tomlin to his father, Deion. And ever since the college football season, Sanders has been throwing these hints around, trying to show where he's going and stuff like that. I know, like, after every game the Raiders played, wasn't he tweeting something during the season? And then
the Giants and Raiders cleats that he wore.
And he wore the Giants cleats, and now he's saying that. So maybe he's trying to force his way onto a team because he realizes he's sliding down these draft boards. I don't know what it is, but he can't really make up his mind. This isn't like a Eli Manning just is stuck on not playing for the San Diego Chargers. This is more than that, So pretty interesting. But let's kind of go into what we were talking about doing, what we planned on doing. So each of us have 3 draft prospects who are most likely going to get picked in the first round. And I guess we'll talk about their strengths, what we've heard about them, whatever you guys want to talk about. But who wants to kick it off?
I'll give it a go. So my 3 prospects that I'm going to say I'm watching, I went with the obvious ones because my counterparts here wanted to get a little more in the weeds. So I took the obvious ones here. Cam Ward, obviously I think it's pretty obvious he's going first overall. While this isn't the strongest QB class we've ever seen, I think Cam is the best of the group by far. In terms of, arm talent, I mean, there's only so many guys that can throw football the way that he can. The arm slots, the angles, the reads. I mean, he truly is one of those guys that I'm going to probably get beat up here for this, but he reminds me when it comes to throwing of Patrick Mahomes, just a natural thrower with the football, could drop down, throw it from any angle, and I think that means something. So while I don't think many quarterbacks are going to be super productive in the NFL, I think Cam Ward, out of all these guys, has the best chance to do it. So I'm going to be watching him, and yeah, we'll see what the Titans could do around him because I'm almost certain that's where he's going. So I'm saying it. My next one is another obvious one, Travis Hunter. I do not think that he's an NFL wide receiver. I know that there's been a lot of hype recently. I don't care what kind of route he ran at his pro day. The route made no sense. But one thing I'll say is I do think that in today's NFL, he's an outstanding corner. I think he has the ability to shadow from what I've seen and what I've watched. I think he could shadow a receiver. I also think that he's going to be comfortable playing in his zone. I don't see there being any issues there. I think that he is the second best defensive player in this class. But I think he's the best athlete in this class, and I'm not sure it's even close. Prospect-wise, he's top 3 for me. Probably comes in at number 3. But he's going to, wherever he ends up, it seems like the Browns are really, throwing signs that they want him. I think that he can really do some damage there. I think that his career is going to be as a corner, and I think when it's all said and done, we'll be talking about a Pro Bowl corner in the NFL. And my last one that I have is Will Campbell, who's been kind of polarizing. I know they tried to downgrade him pretty hard because of arm length, and when Me and Steve talk about this all the time, where my biggest hang up is we find the littlest things about these guys to break them down. And one of those things for me is when they say QB hand size and they say offensive lineman arm length. I'm going to be completely honest, I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. What was his production in college, and what did he do? And Will Campbell, while he wasn't he was a very good player, he was by no means did he have one of these, it wasn't like a Jake Long elite season where he didn't give anything up, or a Joe Thomas. He was consistently good his whole career, and I think that means something. He was never elite. He was never bad. He was always good, and for me, that's a consistent starter in the NFL. I don't care about his arm length. I'd start him at tackle tomorrow.
Yeah.
If I needed a spot at guard, I would move him in at guard. I think that he is going to be the most consistent offensive lineman in this draft. I think he has the highest ceiling.
Yeah.
He has the highest floor in this draft when it comes to offensive line play. He's a plug-and-play starter tomorrow. And I think his ceiling's a little untapped, but I think that he probably grades out as a very good offensive lineman. I think that those three guys are going to be have great established careers, and I'm excited to see where they go.
I want to jump in there real quick. So Campbell, I feel like I've been high on since the middle of the season. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if he went in the draft last season, he would have definitely been a first round pick too.
Oh yeah, absolutely was.
Now he's like a definite top 10 guy. But the one thing I will bring up is he's a lock for the tackle position. Like, he's probably a day one starter at the tackle position. I get a little worried about the short arms when you switch him to guard, and I'll tell you why. Look at Joe Thuney this year. All-pro tackle, had to get switched to the guard position during the playoffs when the Chiefs had injuries, and he was just overmatched during the playoffs, during the AFC Championship game against the Bills and during the Super Bowl against the Eagles. Now, you can argue that the Eagles had one of the best defensive lines we've seen in a while, but he just didn't play his best game. So that's what worries me when you're switching a guy from tackle to guard like that. But other than that, I think if you throw him in the tackle position, you're talking about a pro.
Just right tackle, though. You wouldn't stick him at left tackle.
I would be completely comfortable playing him at left tackle.
Would you?
I would.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely, I would.
Okay.
I mean, he's a tackle at the end of the day. And what bothers me most is we find things to break down about prospects, right? And every prospect you're going to hear that we talk about, if you're listening, can be broken down, and we could find something to pinpoint about them that we don't like. But what frustrates me is how we pick and choose that, right? Like Armin Membaugh from Missouri, who people are now super high on, and they're saying he's going to be an outstanding, he's a future cornerstone tackle and all that. He's smaller than Will Campbell is, but we're not talking about that. We're just talking about how he's rose and all that. But then Will Campbell, we're going to complain, he's got 34-inch arms. Those are long arms. Like, I'm sorry, they're long arms. I don't care if he had 33-inch arms. The guy is built to play tackle. And so is Membaugh. Just because he's 6'3", 6'4" doesn't mean he's not, So it's amazing how like I said, we find things to break down about players. And in reality, it means nothing. It's just an old way of thinking. It's like scouting, right? Like baseball scouts, it's just, some of it just doesn't make sense. I believe in a lot of it, but some of it just doesn't make sense. So I think all guys are going to be.
It is harder though to start day one from college nowadays because they're not getting the reps in training camp.
They're also running different offenses. Very few colleges are running that pro style offense anymore.
Yep. Well, let me ask you something. I have a 2-part question here, going off of the Hunter conversation and the Cam Ward conversation. Now, do you think Cam Ward – so a lot of teams seem like they're now passing on the other quarterbacks, where in the beginning of the draft process, Mike, we were kind of talking about teams might reach on some of these guys like a Jackson,
absolutely,
Jalen Milroe, and now it doesn't seem like teams are willing to do that anymore. Even Shedeur Sanders looks like he might be dropping in the draft. Is Cam Ward the only quarterback in this draft that could be a day one starter for a franchise? And my second part of this question is, what does it say about that's been the fear this whole time with this quarterback class. But what does it say about these other quarterbacks and how they've been doing during their pro days and everything else? If now we're pivoting, and a team like the Browns, who, did need a quarterback, might still need a quarterback, right? is looking to
Probably should take a quarterback.
is looking to draft Travis Hunter.
They
Team
might
like
need
the
to.
Giants, who doesn't have a long-term option, because like how long can you run with Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston for? They don't even want to bother with Shedeur Sanders anymore. So like, what does it say about these quarterbacks? If teams that seem like they were so desperate for a quarterback in the beginning of the offseason are now saying in the draft, we're going to take these other guys because they are good athletes and they should be drafted in these spots.
So I'm gonna answer the question. Your first question, saying, do I think there's any is Cam Ward the only NFL star or day one starter? I'm gonna say probably, just based off of what I'm seeing, he's probably the only one that will be a day one starter. Do I think that there's other quarterbacks in this draft class that can be starters in the NFL? Yes, I do. I think from our conversations, there's a lot of quarterbacks in this draft that I'm pretty high on. In terms of becoming productive starters. And actually, I think it's a benefit to them not to be drafted high in the first or second round because they're going to get a chance to sit and slowly develop. Cam Ward, like I said, is going to a franchise. While I think he's going to be good, and I think he'll figure it out. The Titans, by no means, are a stable franchise. Like, a lot can go wrong with that draft pick. A lot can go wrong. They don't have the best receiver group right now. I know they've got, Calvin Ridley, but he's old. What is he, 32 or 33 this year? You got Treylon Burke, who's a massive bust. There's a lot that can go wrong there. I think Cam Ward's, the reason why I think he'll be okay is because he's done it so many times. And he's had to climb that mountain, that underdog story. I think he's got that drive. I do think that Shedeur is going to end up being a starter in this NFL, in the NFL. I don't think it'll be day one. I don't know how far he's going to fall. Something tells me it won't be as far as we think, but it will be a drop. I think he'll be a starter. And then I also like guys like Jackson Dart. I've never been crazy on. I think he'll get a shot, but I like Will Howard, especially when you look at his measurables, right? He's a big boy and he's got some boogie to him. I mean, the guy's he's got some boogie. I mean, he's very comparable to Josh Allen physically. I'm big on Kyle McCord, who we'll get to speak about here shortly.
Yes, we will.
I think
we will.
I think Quinn Ewers is also another guy that in the right system could be productive. I know he didn't have the strongest year we all expected he would, but again, he's one of those guys with arm talent. You can't teach arm talent. So I think that there's guys in this draft, probably not day one starters, but could develop into starters. And I think that it's a value prop with why guys are not being viewed that way right now. I think a lot of it is smoke and mirrors in terms of you don't want to drive a prospect's value up and then, not be able to draft him either. I think that we're going to see a run on guys in the second and third round. I really do. I think you're going to see a lot of guys go second and third. So, I think it's just the way the NFL breaks down right now this year. It's a value prop. Right now, the value isn't necessarily on the QB position. A lot of teams have signed veterans like the Giants. They're, the Browns went and got Pickett, and they still do have that albatross of a deal with Deshaun Watson. So there's a lot of things that are at play. But I'm not as down on this QB class as other people are.
Well,
so I'll leave it at that.
Don't let the Titans fool you either. They should have just came out right from the start and said, we're taking a quarterback. Because there was no shot they were rolling into next season.
I think the league tells them, though, they shouldn't do that. I some kind of memo from the league to keep the draft relevant, right?
Yeah, after they – so the reason why it all changed, remember when Remember when rookies didn't have a payment structure and they could negotiate their own deals? And the year with Jake Long, the first 4 or 5 picks were all announced well before the draft.
Yeah.
So the NFL, when they went into the and they structured it where now there's a set deal, it became a thing where that you can't announce your picks anymore. I think, what was that? Was that 2008? Where it literally was like
something like
that.
Yeah,
it was like the first 4 or 5 picks, we knew about it. They were already announced, like 2 weeks before the draft. So, but yeah, I mean, maybe they actually were evaluating Carter. Maybe, I think maybe they were really evaluating Cam Ward, Carter, and Hunter. But I think you're probably right. I think it was probably always Cam Ward.
Yeah, so real quick with the quarterbacks and stuff, I mean, let's just call it for what it is. The coaching in college and the quarterback play in college is pathetic nowadays. Mm-hmm. And it's translating to the NFL. We grew up with Peyton Manning, Brady, all these great quarterbacks and stuff, and all these, pretty big-time coaches. Now I think we're in a transition period where the last, 2 to 3 years in the NFL really haven't been developing quarterbacks per se. And they'd rather just sign the veteran, especially in the Giants case. They They need to win, not make the playoffs, but they need to look like they're making steps towards, getting better, or they're gone. And I personally don't think that John Mara is going to let them draft a quarterback, which is why I think Carter is absolutely in play for the Giants. Not to mention, if Kayvon Thibodeau was better than he was, because he's not a bust because he does what the defensive coordinator tells him to do, and he does make a lot of plays at the end of games. But if he was as good as we thought he was going to be, they wouldn't need Carter. They would probably end up trading the pick and getting more assets. But because they're going to get Carter, don't get me wrong, I think he's going to be a stud. He's a little small, and apparently, I don't know what it is with Penn State guys lately. Besides for Parsons, a lot of Penn State defensive guys have not been what they've been all cracked up to be in the draft as of lately. And I don't know if that's a coaching thing, whether they're going to the wrong situations or stuff, but if I was the Giants, I would draft Carter, hold my breath, and maybe get like a second or third day package for, maybe trading back in to get McCord from the second or third day. But again, I think a lot of quarterbacks are going to go the first day, guys, because of that the 5th year, what's it called?
The 5th year option.
Yeah, the 5th year option. That's huge to some of these teams, especially with quarterbacks, because then they don't have to pay him. Or you pay him earlier and you save money on the back end. To McCord's point, I'm just going to call it for what it is. I think that the Chiefs are going to draft him. Chiefs draft him. Who's their offensive coordinator? Nagy?
Oh, yeah, it is Nagy still, isn't it?
Nagy's trying to get a job. Nagy's going to groom this guy to be his quarterback when he takes another job the following year. And Andy Reid's fine with it because he's so comfortable in his own skin. Not to mention he'd be able to get a guy ready just in case Patrick starts breaking down, which, guys, he's taken a lot of hits and been injured lately.
He did not look great last year.
No,
he did not look like Patrick.
He needs an offensive line, which is why I think Cam Ward is going to be okay because Callahan Sr., one of the best offensive line coaches.
He is the best offensive line coach.
Oh, yeah. I'm being
Oh yeah.
partial.
He's special. But I agree.
And then Ty Warren, guys, it all depends on where he goes. If he goes to a bad situation, he's not going to be good. He can be the greatest thing on earth. He's a tight end. He's not going to be blocking as much, probably. He's going to be spread out. But it's so dependent when you don't get the ball as much to go to the right situation, and a situation that's going to use you a lot. Who's the guy in Atlanta? Kyle Pitts?
Kyle Pitts, baby.
He's done what?
Future New York Jet.
1 or 2 good games? And he was talked about so much coming out of college.
Yeah, his biggest, he had that outstanding rookie year, went over 1,000 yards. Everyone thought he was the second coming, and then I think the most he's had since was 350. Yep. So,
flash in the pan. Well, not a flash in the pan because he showed he can do it, but just bad situations. With all these guys, especially a quarterback or someone that doesn't have the ball in their hands or can't impact the game as much because you're dependent on the scheme. And half these teams don't use tight ends anyway. They're using 3 and 4 wide receivers, spreading it out, and just go. So, but Steve, would you be okay being the Giants fan with Abdul Carter?
Oh, 100%. And I think I would be okay with rocking one more year with Thibodeau. And then if he just takes a back seat to Carter, if Carter progresses faster than we thought he would, whatever it may be, using him as a trade chip next season or, moving on from him. Because last season was okay. 2 years ago was a big jump. He played extremely well, but I don't know if he ever warranted that top 10 production that they gave him out of Oregon, I believe he came from.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I've been talking to a fellow Giants fan on a pretty regular basis, and we go back and forth about who we want. But I think in the past 2 weeks, maybe past week, we both settled on Carter's the guy that you have to take.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, I think he's the best player in the draft.
Best available. You got to take those players when you're in the situation.
You
either trade back or.
Sorry to cut in. You know what he reminds me of,
You're good.
though? He reminds me of the guys the Giants used to draft, because I think the past 2 seasons is his first 2 years he's been on the defensive line. So he was learning as he went with Penn State. He's just such a freak athlete. He's a big dude. And that was kind of like not Osi Umenora. Who's the one who blew his
Tuck?
Jason Pierre-Paul, right?
Pierre-Paul, Justin Tuck.
He blew his fingers off.
I don't think he played football.
Is that what you were doing?
Like, who?
Yeah, he literally, he's like, who's the guy? Oh my God, Steve.
But he never played football up until he got to South Florida. Like,
yeah.
And that's the type of guys they would take, is just guys that you knew were freak athletes and you were going to try to develop them. And during the Christian Benford interview, I talked about the Bills' development, because think about their past few off seasons. They've let stars go, guys that have been pivotal parts of their team. I know Stephon Diggs was kind of upset when he on his way out, so like that was fine. But even Travion White or something, right? The cornerback that was on the Bills, they let him walk. I think they're letting Von Miller walk this offseason.
No, they re-signed him, I thought.
Did they re-sign him? Okay, so they brought him back. But they like to bring in these guys that no one's ever heard of, and they take a chance on them. And it's kind of the Patriot way, too, when Belichick was there. Belichick,
especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, Belichick always had, because he won the Super Bowl, he always had late first-round picks. And he always picked these guys that had these interesting names, and everyone was like, oh, that's a curveball. I don't understand why he's doing that. And they just turned into, I wouldn't say they were all like pro ballers, but they were quality players in the NFL, and they made nice careers. So I'm not saying Carter's completely different. He's a freak, and everybody knows it. But you got to take him if he's there. If he's there at 3, if the Browns don't go with him, if they go the Travis Hunter route, then you got to take Carter. I think you're on the same boat as the Browns. It's to me, these quarterbacks don't blow me away to the point where they should be top 5 picks. I don't trust them with the franchise. And I've been under the thought, sorry I'm rambling here, but I care about the Giants turning their franchise around because it's been over 10 years since they've been good. But I'm under the thought that let Russell Wilson start for a year or two. If it doesn't work out, you have Winston behind him. But, like, there's always a chance in free agency to take, give somebody a opportunity like the Vikings did with Sam Darnold, where Sam Darnold was a top 5 pick, wasn't having a great career, but you knew the tools were there the entire time. And I know he kind of burned out on the Vikings last season, right when they got to the playoffs, but he was what was he, top 5 in the MVP voting for most of the season until the last few weeks. So if you get that on the Giants, with the defense that they currently have, is that front seven's incredible, and you add Carter to that, and now you have Malik Neighbors, now you have Tracy at running back. I think like this turnaround could be quick if they're smart with it, is all I'm saying.
Division's tough, though, man.
Yeah, that's all.
And the Eagles are not going anywhere anytime soon. That team is loaded for bear for the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing. Like, it sucks to be a Cowboys and Giants fan, because the Commanders are going to have Jaden Daniels for – if all goes right, and I hope it does, because I like Jaden Daniels a lot, and I hope he buries Joe Shane after the video of his kid saying he should draft him. But if all goes right, Daniels is the Commanders' starting quarterback for the next 15, 20 years. And it sucks for Giants fans, but it's so great for the NFL because he's electric. And hopefully he doesn't turn into RG3. Because if you remember, RG3 was good his first season in the NFL and then burned out.
But they drafted Cousins still, same draft. So I think they kind of knew there might not be something there. And they used a 3rd-round pick on Cousins, I think, right?
4th-round pick.
4th round? Okay. It was a 4th-round
Talking
pick.
about Cousins, do you think there's some left in the tank for him?
Yeah, the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. I mean, they're gonna probably hold on to him till like right before camp, maybe. Just because they said they don't want to trade him, and they want to probably make sure that Penix is right. But I mean, if you give him a good offensive line, man, I mean, Joe Flacco was able to sling it a little bit, so maybe.
Ooh, I just got a cramp. Another one.
Get some water.
Yeah, I need to get some water.
Drink some water.
So who has gone? Mike, you gave your 3. John,
You're up,
I did.
buddy.
I did get 3. Yep.
Sorry, I was.
You're up.
I was sending a quick text message, but I was listening. But yeah, my 3, and I was going back and forth about this. I definitely number 1. I want to go Ashton Genty, just because from what I've been reading, what people have been saying, and by no means am I a scout, by no means am I one of those NFL draft experts, but Genty seems to be just hitting all the right points during this draft to the point where I think there could be teams that try to trade up for him because they realize this might be a generational type running back. So this is a guy that's going to probably give you 1,000+ yards during his rookie season right from the start. So teams like, Cowboys should be trying to trade up for him for sure. What's the Cowboys pick right now, Mike? Do you know?
I'll tell you in 2 seconds.
I think
11, 12.
If the Steelers don't go the quarterback route, they should definitely be trying to trade up for him because they definitely need one now that Najee Harris. Not that Najee Harris was ever phenomenal.
The Cowboys are at 12.
Yeah. I mean, there's teams that have a need for someone in the backfield. And I think what happened last season, and because we saw this huge contract get signed, Saquon kind of changed the running back game last season. He showed that if you have the right running back in your system, they can be game changers. And before last season, franchises did not believe that because this was such a pass-heavy league. So, honestly, I think Barkley, Genty should buy him a car or something because he really opened the
Yeah.
If Barkley doesn't go off, I mean, I shouldn't say that because Bijan Robinson got drafted by the Falcons, and I think he was a top 10 pick. So, maybe there's a franchise that would have been desperate enough to take a running back. But at this point, I think people are starting to get, we talked about the pro style offense going away. Maybe we start bringing back the run game, take a step back or something. Now I'm kind of stuck on my next 2. I want to talk about Mason Graham just because I watched every single one of his college games. And I think Mason Graham can be so disruptive up front that he's going to be like some of the star defensive tackles that we've been talking about during our whole time watching football. You name a star defensive tackle, that could be Mason Graham, in my opinion. He's just, and ask anyone who's lined up against him, ask any coach that has faced him, ask the Michigan coaches. They just say that this guy was ready for the NFL last season as a sophomore, but unfortunately he couldn't go into the draft. You give him a double team, he's getting through that double team and clogging up the hole. You're certainly not putting one person on Mason Graham. So he's going to, in my opinion, he does everything the right way. From lifting in the offseason, he was always the number one guy going at it in the Michigan organization or college, whatever you want to call that. And during the season, he played every game. He was never hurt. So I think he's going to make a nice long career at a position where you get banged up on, at. So now the last one, I was between Shamar Stewart, who I think I'm going to pass on. I do like him a lot. I wanted to talk about Mike Green maybe because he's jumped up the boards. But I really, really want to talk about the South Carolina cornerback. I know we already talked about one cornerback in Hunter, but I think this is a little bit of a different one because now we're looking at the mid to late first round. No, the safety from South Carolina. And I don't know how to say his name, but I've seen a lot about him and how fantastic he's been ever since the Senior Bowl. That's what it's called still, right? The Reese's Senior Bowl.
It is.
Yeah.
But Nick Emenwari, I'm definitely saying his name.
That's pretty bit. That sounded pretty good.
I mean, it's you said it how it's spelt. You can't do anything different than that.
Yeah, but apparently a lot of people are saying his film has been so impressive from his South Carolina season, and then what he did during the Reese's Senior Week, where every day at practice he was like one of the top grinders during that week, and then he had a great Senior Bowl, and then I think he just continued into the combine. I'm pretty sure he participated in that. I believe he had a pretty good combine, and I don't know if he's had his senior or his pro day. I think all the pro days are done now, right, Mike? So
I think this week they all have to be finished.
Okay, so he's just hit all the right points. He's been fantastic ever since the South Carolina season ended. He was fantastic with South Carolina. This is a guy that is going to go out there, not be afraid to drop his shoulder, not afraid to make contact, but he can also drop back and pass coverage. So, we're not talking about like a Landon Collins type player where you're going to play him in the box, that type of safety. Like, this is a guy who can do it all for you. And that's so pivotal for defense because I feel like we do run into those situations with these safeties a lot where it's like, oh, he's a great pass coverage guy, or he can really, drop his shoulder and make a tackle. But this is a guy who you're going to keep on the field for all 4 downs, and that's really important for a defense. So, yeah, those are my 3.
Yep, he's also narrowed the gap pretty good with Malachi Starks, who, going into the draft process early in the year, people were saying Malachi Starks was going to be a top 10 pick. So I think that was a good choice on your end. And also, just so we're all clear, Ashton Genty is actually the highest graded running back prospect in quite some time. He's rated higher than Bijan Robinson, who people said were generational in his draft. So just wanted to bring that note up.
Isn't he the highest rated guy in the whole draft, I think?
He is the highest rated prospect in the draft.
That's what I thought, yeah.
He's easily the highest ceiling, highest floor, highest ceiling in this draft. He's one of those guys where, if you told me he was going to rush for 1,500 yards his rookie season, I would not be shocked. But to your point where you said the Cowboys moving up, they'd have to give up a lot to move up because odds are they'd have to move up to Jacksonville's pick to get him. Because as Jets fans, there's been a lot of smoke about Genty to the Jets and trading Breece Hall. So in theory, you'd have to move up to that Jacksonville spot. And the other question is, one, is Jacksonville willing to make that move? Because I think Mason Graham would be the pick there. And what is it going to take to get that deal done? I'm not too sure. So I think that Genty can go anywhere from we'll use that pick because I think that's the trade pick, anywhere from 5 to 12.
Jacksonville would be amazing with Brian Thomas, and if Trevor Lawrence can turn the page and actually become the quarterback that we've been expecting him for years, that's a pretty good offense. I know they lost Evan Ingram, but I don't know. Genty.
I'm just curious to see what the coaching's like there.
Yeah.
Wait. Out of you two, who can give the best Duval?
I can.
Not me. I'm not doing that.
I'll start cracking up in the middle.
I won't do it.
Let Liam take it, man.
So
let him get it.
You know how, John, we were talking about the Mark Hoppus interview on Part of My Take? I also listened a few weeks ago to his interview on Part of My Take, and he's he's a knowledgeable guy, but I can't like him. Ever since he did that, that's all I think about. It's not just how he said Duval; it's the face expressions he made during it. I'm over him.
I mean, I'm used to people doing like weird stuff when they're having interviews and all that stuff. But yeah, I just don't think that he's gonna be able to be taken seriously by everybody. And if you're not taken seriously as a head coach of a football team, you're not really gonna get far.
No,
I had to be sitting there and be like, "Is this guy really our coach?"
Like McDaniel is like one thing. He's super smart, a little goofy. He's ripping a vape on the sideline. Liam Cohen, that's his name, right? Liam Cohen.
Yeah.
He's I don't know, something a little weird about him.
He a little different.
Yeah, you can say that. Nothing wrong with it. It was just
It was sketchy from the start though, because apparently he stepped away and then they fired their GM, and I understand it. That GM was terrible on the Jaguars.
Balky? Yeah, he should have been gone 2 times ago.
He should have
Doug Peterson should not have had to deal with it.
But apparently he snuck back to the Jaguars complex and didn't even turned off his phone or wasn't answering texts or something when he was supposed to.
No, his kid was in the hospital.
Yeah. Sure. Hopefully not, but I'm
Yeah, no, I think everything's good now. Yeah. Everything's fine.
Healthy.
But yeah, it was the shady business dealings of the NFL brought to light actually for the first time in a while.
Or someone who just didn't want to face the music,
which again, do you really want that guy being your head coach? Because Shad Khan does.
Yeah, how is he having conversations with guys? Like, say your starting DN's not going to start anymore, and you're sitting down. Is he just going to try to crack a joke and go, Duval?
Yeah, I'm sure he's got people on that staff. that
I
could help him.
think he'll improve from this. It's a low point.
Yeah.
You got to start at the bottom and work your way up.
He didn't even want to talk about the Duval thing during the Part of My Take interview.
No, he was probably told by the Jaguars PR people, talk about it for a hot second, and then
do that again.
That's it.
What do you say? So I'm shocked by this, but we're probably not going to talk March Madness, but that's fine. But what do you say we close out with a quick brief, because this is already going on a while, conversation about the whole Malone firing, because I did want to breeze through that. But I want to start off with Jokic, apparently new for like a week or two. What are your thoughts about the front office talking to the star player about firing a coach while he's still with the organization?
Well, it's tough because, didn't the GM get fired too? So it was basically the owner probably making moves behind the two guys he hired back, which is not good. You're either getting better or you're not. I get that. But there is a way to do things, and they're going to make the playoffs, right? I know they're in the West, and that whole thing's like, the 3 seed and the 8 seed or 9 seed are like, what, a game and a half apart?
Yep.
Yeah.
But, like, when was the last time something like this happened with Memphis and Doc Rivers, right? Is that was he in
it
Memphis?
wasn't Memphis.
Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
Because Doc Rivers is coaching now Milwaukee.
Yep.
That was it.
Yep.
They fired Budenholzer, right, kind of late in the season, and Doc came in for the playoff run, and I think they made it to the second round, and
well, you're not wrong.
Didn't make it far.
Memphis just fired their coach, I believe, but it was apparently because John Morant was talking about.
Okay, that's it. Yeah.
So you're not.
That's another story for another day. That guy.
Did you see the AI stuff that they've been doing lately?
Oh, all the AI stuff is getting so ridiculous because it's like the mouths moving and everything. Well, who is it? The one with Malone.
No, the John Morant when he'd sing.
Oh, I didn't see that one. I saw the Malone one. That one was hilarious.
Apparently, Morant did like a shooting gesture.
Yeah.
And they're now AI's like putting an actual gun in his hand.
Oh, really?
It's crazy what they're doing with that.
Jeez.
But yeah, Malone's going to find a spot on a NBA franchise. He's going to be a head coach again. He's a great coach in my opinion. I think they were trying to light a fire under their butts because, like you talked about, it is a game and a half difference. And if you go on a losing streak right now, you could find yourself in a play-in game from the 3rd seed to a play-in game. How crazy is that? I think the Nuggets are trying to do everything to stay away from playing extra basketball. So they said,
because they played so much lately.
Yeah, none of these players play much basketball. They all seem to sit. But the West, the West has changed ever since the Luka trade. All of a sudden, you have a few contenders now. The Thunder are the Thunder. The Lakers are now all of a sudden an NBA Finals contender. The Nuggets are always going to be the Nuggets. Who else do we have out there? I know there's a few other teams. I'm not serious about the Rockets. I think they could be an early exit, in my opinion.
Good coaching, though. Isn't Ime Udoka there? He's a pretty good coach.
Yeah, that rebound there was pretty incredible, though, from where they were now. I have to agree that I'm not sold on them. You know what? Unfortunately, I feel like they're going to get just to bring it up. The Knicks blew that game today.
What?
Yeah, we lost 115-1. I didn't even bring it up because I was getting frustrated watching it while we were doing this. But they remind me a lot of. I think they're going to be like the Knicks. They're going to be in and out. It's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
It was frustrating as all.
Does that mean Malone's coming east, coming this way?
No, I think Tibbs is probably pretty safe. But Malone's going to find his way on 100%. Is going to find his way on a staff.
The only time I get rid of Tibbs right now is if Dan Hurley says he wants to be the New York Knicks coach.
Yeah, but didn't he just sign that huge deal with?
You buy him out.
Big out.
Apparently. So, do you guys know Shirley Donovan on Twitter?
No.
So I'm not a Twitter guy.
There's a guy a few years ago when the portal started becoming a big thing, would have like intel or information a few days in advance before all the big name reporters, and it was always accurate. He'd be like, "This guy's going to the St. John's or something," And now he has like. I don't know. He has a Twitter, but he also runs like another page. I forget what all the the cool kids call these pages these days. But he had intel. I don't know if this was accurate. I don't know if somebody put Dan Hurley's name in the place of someone else's, but apparently Dan Hurley could be interviewing for the Nuggets position on Friday. But that's a head scratcher because, like, why would you take the Nuggets position over the Lakers position? It doesn't make sense. And also, like, the whole point was, and I think he talked about this during an interview recently, was his wife didn't want to go to L.A. She's a New Jersey girl. What makes you think she's going to want to go to Denver? So I don't know if that's true. I don't think he's leaving UConn. And he just brought in that guard from Georgia who's supposed to be a stud, Silas DeMari or something. And he brought back Ball or Bell. I forget his other good player. And his big guy he brought back. And he has like most of his starting lineup coming back outside of McNeely. So I don't think he's going anywhere.
All right, let's do the checks. Is he at a basketball school that spends nil money on pretty much basketball and basketball alone? Yes. His wife, like you said, she ain't going anywhere out of 100-mile radius of this place. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
So the best place for him is UConn right now.
Yeah.
Until, like you said, I really am going to be interested when that Knicks job comes available.
I think he'll want it.
I do.
There's
too.
a lot of rumblings that he's waiting for the Knicks.
Is he a CAA guy? Do him and Leon Rose have a connection?
I don't know.
Going from the past.
That's a good.
Because I would like to
I don't
see.
know.
That.
I feel like Thibodeau has. I think he's probably got a couple more years. Well,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Hurley could buy his time though. I don't know. I don't think.
How old's Hurley? 51, 52,
50s. I don't know exact age.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, when your star players love you, you're not going anywhere. And Brunson likes Thibodeau a lot.
Yeah.
I think Josh Hart likes him a lot.
Brunson's dad's on the coaching staff too.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
that's true. I don't know what Cat's feelings are towards it, but I know Cat likes playing in New York and likes playing with the guys around him. But
I'm gonna get in trouble. But Cat's girlfriend loves New York. Let's be real. Jordan Woods is loving being in New York now, man. Beats Minnesota. I'll tell you that right now.
Dan Hurley is not a CAA guy. He's an Endeavor.
He's
guy.
not. Okay.
What is he?
Endeavor.
I don't even know what Endeavor.
They cover most of the college coaches.
Okay. Cool. I mean, he'll probably switch if he ever looks at the NBA, I would think, if they're a majority college agency. But then again, he kept them through the Lakers. But that was like so sudden. It was like
that was location too.
Yeah.
If the Lakers were here, he would have been gone.
Oh, 100%. I also think, like, honestly, you're going into a better situation with the Knicks long term than you are with the Lakers at this point. Like, how much longer are you going to have LeBron? Luka wasn't there yet, so like, you didn't know what the direction was. Like, I wouldn't want to go to a franchise that's going to build around Anthony Davis, who's also getting up in age.
Yeah, no.
So it's tough, but I mean, we'll see. It should be fun talking about NBA playoffs. I know that was a fun conversation Dugan and I had last year. And I actually really love the NBA playoffs. I know last year when the Knicks were in it, there was a lot of times when I would sit down and they would go down to like the Sixers or something, and I would take my dog for a walk, and then next thing you know, they had a lead. I'm one of those people who can't sit in front of the TV when my team's doing bad. So it should be a lot of that this year too. But do you guys have any closing thoughts? Anything we didn't touch during this episode?
Nope. I think that this was a very action-packed episode.
Yeah. Good stuff, guys. So thanks for listening. A great interview with Christian Benford and Jared Carrabis. Thank you for coming on to our show. We're always thankful for any guests we can get to join the conversation, and we've had some really good ones lately, so I'm appreciative of that. But yeah, we should be back next week, but pretty pumped about this episode. There was a lot of good talk, and we didn't even talk March Madness much. So, but
and remember, Livy Dunn, we love you here. Please,
yes,
Livy Dunn,
yes,
give us a call, please.
Yes,
we would love to speak to you.
All right, see you guys next week.
Later on, guys.
See.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. I have Jared Carrabis with me. If you're a baseball fan, then you definitely know the name. But with the podcast is Baseball is Dead, Section 10 Pod. I know you make appearances, on MLB Network. You do Boston radio, right, too?
Yep, Sports Hub.
Yeah, so you're a busy person, especially when the season begins. And I know we were talking off air, and you put it on Twitter and social media a lot that you just got a dog too. So just
Yep.
hands full at all times. I wanted to jump into the video you posted when the Red Sox won and the Yankees lost. I know that was like a whole night. Actually, that was like a whole few days worth of talking about that video, I feel like. Who comes up with the ideas for those videos? Did you expect it to just explode like that, the way that it did?
Yes, I did. So like basically a lot of like in 2014, I started doing the gold bottles tweet,
Right.
and I started doing that sarcastically because 2014 they were in last place and they had lost 10 straight games. So gold bottle started as like a sarcastic celebration, like, hey, we finally won a game, like let's celebrate like we just won the World Series. And then I've done the gold bottles tweet after every single Red Sox win since that day. So like it's been over 10 years of doing gold bottles. And then in 2017, uh we did like a watch party for I think it was like the Yankees wild card game. I forget who no, it was the ALCS. Yeah, it was the ALCS because I think they were playing Houston in the ALCS that year and they got eliminated and Papi was doing the post game and that's when he did the duh Yankees lose. Like he did that for the first time and that's now become like a huge meme, but it's because I clipped it off and tweeted it out, or else it would have just been something that he did on TV and it was never spoken of again. So I took that clip and then in 2018 when the season started, every time the Yankees lost, I started tweeting out the clip of him saying that. And then it kind of grew and evolved. And then you had fans making these like creative videos to like different songs. And they were combining it with Papi saying Yankees lose. And it took on a life of its own. And we used that video pretty much ever since the end of 2018. We had like a Yankees lose video. And then the last couple of years, I stopped using it because the Red Sox were so bad that it's just like pathetic to make fun of the Yankees for losing like a regular season game when the Red Sox like can't even get over 500. But this year, I was like, the Red Sox are going to be good again. We need a revamped Yankees lose video because the original, like it had been around for so long. Like Mookie Betts was in it, like Jackie Bradley was in it. I was like, we need to update it. So Jeremy is he's one of my like he cuts our clips. He does like a lot of our social and he so the Jeremy, I met Jeremy because A, he was a fan of the show, and B, he did a lot of social media content for the Red Sox. So I knew he was great at his job, but like we needed someone that also knew the identity of Section 10. So when we hired him, I was like, this guy's perfect. Like loves the Red Sox, loves Section 10, and he's great at editing video. And in before the season started, well, we were down in spring training. We were in either Phoenix or Tampa or wherever we were, and I was like, I need you to put your spin on the gold bottles tweet. And he created the new gold bottles tweet that went out this year, and then that was so good that I was like, why don't we do a new Yankees lose video? And he was like, I'll cook something up, see if you like it. And the one that I tweeted the other day was the second version. The first version was very funny. It was good. But the first version was more like for everyone. Like you didn't have to be a fan of the show to get it. And then the version that we went with was like it was more intertwined with Section 10 inside jokes and stuff like that. So yeah, both the gold bottles tweet and the Yankees lose video were both creations of Jeremy, our social media guy.
That's incredible. I watched it several times because it's just such a good video. Um,
Are you a Red Sox fan?
I'm a Mets fan actually, so I guess I have hate for the Yankees with you.
Yeah,
Being
sure.
a Mets fan, and finally we're coming around. But uh, I actually wanted to talk about that just because, like, I know this adventure probably started out as just a diehard baseball fan, Red Sox fan, but you always hear like journalists and media people say like, I don't root for anyone anymore because I cover the sport. I'm watching so much of it, and I need to stay biased. I guess that's the nice thing about being on a podcast and radio is you don't have to be biased or as biased as a writer or something. But for you, was that ever like a thought, like the whole Red Sox fandom and also having a podcast that covers baseball where you have to maybe keep a fair mind towards the rest of it, the rest of the teams, especially the Yankees?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a balancing act that goes on. I mean, when I started my blog, I was 16. I was still in high school, and like podcasting was not a career path, blogging was not a career path. So I had to make the decision of like if you're going to work for a newspaper, you absolutely cannot be a fan of the team that you're covering. So I was like, do I want to give that up? And ultimately the answer was no. I was like, all right, then like I don't want to give up being a Red Sox fan, so I'm going to go to college, get a business degree, get a real job, like a desk job, and then I'll just do this on the side. And that's what I did. I got a job at a marketing firm, and I blogged, and I got a part-time job with Barstool at that time, and I started the podcast that same year, 2015. Like the year that I got my big boy marketing job was the year that we started Section 10. And I think to what you're talking about, like on Baseball is Dead, it's a baseball podcast. It's all MLB. I try to be fair to the Yankees. Like I kind of have to uh I it's a wild reference, but there is this movie called The Stepfather. Have you heard of it? It's a horror movie.
No, I don't think so.
So it's about this guy that kind of like he's a serial killer and he goes to like different towns and he ends up like always becoming like a stepfather and uh once like things go south he'll end up murdering the family then moving on to a new town
Jeez.
and but he's constantly like under a new name a new identity and there's like a scene at the end where he forgets like which he's like trying to like remember all his different identities and he goes like wait who am I here again and that's how I feel like depending on if I'm doing MLB Network, Sports Hub, Section 10, Baseball is Dead. I'm like, wait, like which guy am I right now? Because on Section 10, I can make fun of the Yankees and like that's what the audience wants. Like I can be biased against the Yankees, be overly pro Red Sox, and that's what the audience wants. On Baseball is Dead, it's a national audience. Like they don't want Homer Jared. They don't want biased anti-Yankee Jared. Like, because like Yankee fans listen to Baseball is Dead. Like they want to hear like my actual thoughts, not my tongue-in-cheek thoughts on the Yankees. So I try to give them that. Like it's like the Jared that you get on Baseball is Dead is not the Jared that you're going to get on Section 10. Like Section 10 is more like humor, entertainment. Like, yeah, it's a lot of Red Sox propaganda. We try to be fair, like I think when things are going poorly, we will have criticism for the team. But on Baseball is Dead, I try to be baseball fan Jared, and then Section 10 is Red Sox fan Jared.
Yeah.
So it's quite the balancing act.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I wanted to point out is because like baseball, obviously America's pastime has so much traditions to it, but I I I remember there's a picture of Kurt Cobain in the early 90s and he was wearing a Punk is Dead shirt. And it was kind of like a joke, but it was kind of like a realistic thought behind like what punk was turning into. But to this day, it still has a big audience, and I think it's the same thing with baseball. Like there's that cult following that just loves baseball and watches every single game and like will take in all the content. But to me, like the conversations people always have is baseball is boring. It's a slow game. And they don't want, it's not like football where there's contact every play, and it's not like basketball where they're running up and down the court. And I think that's what like a lot of people's mindsets are these days. But
Mhm.
what I noticed for you is you've always made it fun. And I think of some of the media, I guess channels out there, and I guess you could throw like John Boy in there too, because minus like the warehouse wiffle ball thing they do, they usually make a lot of their content fun and accessible for listeners. What do you feel like works for you to, because you have a big following in baseball? What do you think you connect with the audience with the most?
So I think what's really cool about our community is so on opening day, we did a live show at a bar across the street from Fenway, and a lot of people went alone because they knew, like, I know I'm gonna meet someone there that I'm gonna hit it off with. If you listen to Section 10, like we connect with people through our sense of humor.
Right.
And one of our listeners recently said like it's more of a sitcom than a podcast. It's like you obviously come for the Red Sox talk, but you come for the laughs and you come for like the storyline development of the characters on the show, which is really cool that when you look at it that way. But I think it's just, if you go to a Section 10 show by yourself, you know that you're going to run into someone that has the same sense of humor as you. And you know that they're interested in the Red Sox. So right away, it's like we share similar passions and we have a similar sense of humor. Why can't we be friends?
Yeah.
And that's what happens a lot. Like there's been multiple, we've had Section 10 weddings, like we've had people that have met each other and gone on to get married, multiple married couples through like the podcast, like meeting each other through the podcast. People have met each other um, and gone to games together. It was like, blind platonic dates of just like going to games together. So like that's what's so cool about the community is like right away you're gonna check off two major boxes. Like my biggest passion, I love the Red Sox. Here's what my sense of humor is like. So we will find the same things funny. And then, you find all these connections between people that meet each other through the show. Um, and I think that that's just how we connect with like the younger audience too. Um, like if you look at the video of the audience before opening day, the live show, it's sold out wall to wall and on every angle, and it's all young people. Like that's like it's the audience is all ages, of course. That's just naturally going to happen with a baseball audience, but for people coming out and spending their own money to come see us, like it's a very young audience, which is it's really cool.
Yeah. And I hope I'm not making you like semi answer the same question again, but I think back to the days, I guess when you started your blog and then you got on with Barstool, not to make you talk about like previous adventures, but one thing that I always noticed, you were always up there with like I don't know if you can call it quote unquote the big names, but like you were always on their main page. You're always in the graphics with like, the other guys and you were doing baseball content, and I know I feel like they haven't really filled that void since you left, and that their big focus is on football, and why not? Like that's America's sport right now.
Yeah.
But they just brought in Gruden. But even when you continued, it was just, or I feel like the reason you got some of these other opportunities after that life was because of your baseball knowledge and your fair takes and everything. How do you think, and again, I hope I'm not making you answer the same question, but how do you think you worked your way into that equation where like your opinion on baseball and your thoughts on baseball really mattered to the company and people started to catch on like listeners and you grew a big social media presence like that too, especially in a space I should say that doesn't really, I don't want to say value baseball, but doesn't give it the spotlight that you probably feel like it deserves or something.
Yeah, I think it takes it I'm not calling myself special, but it takes a special person to pop at Barstool.
Yeah.
Um, like first and foremost, like you have to want the spotlight. I feel like not everyone wants that spotlight. Some people they want to be behind the scenes. Some people are happy just blogging. Some people they want to be in that top spot and rubbing elbows with Dave and Big Cat and Kevin and guys like that. Um, I think for me, um, I know like the Barstool audience probably it depends on where you look for feedback, but like if you look at like the loud vocal minority, the Barstool audience hates me. Like they do not like me. But um I think what helped me a ton was being liked in the office. Like I was friends with everyone in there. So if there were opportunities, then people wanted to help out their friends. Like I think I did my thing with baseball, but then when they had Barstool Radio and they expanded and they did the Yak or the evening Yak, it's like Big Cat was like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And
Yeah.
then Kevin got his own show. He was like, "Hey, do you want to come on this show?" And like getting opportunities just because the people in the office want to see you win, like I think uh ultimately, yeah, like it was a very like it's competitive from within, but if you make the right allies, then like yeah, like there are people at the top like Dan and Kevin who do want to see people win. Um so I think that and to an extent like with Dave um like I had my chance to rub elbows with him in content here and there, but I
Yeah.
didn't do a show with him, so like obviously he gave me the opportunity to go to Barstool, so I owe him a big thanks for that. But how do you break out of just baseball guy to, getting bigger opportunities? Like Dan gave me a big one, Kevin gave me a big one.
Yeah.
Then obviously Dave gave me a big one by hiring me. So, uh, yeah, there's no like secret sauce, but like you have to want it, and not everyone wants to be in front of the camera, attention, focus on me and whatever. I think there's some people that are just like, I'm happy blogging and they
Yeah.
blog. Some people want to do social and they're happy doing social. Like I wanted to make baseball as big as it could possibly be there. Um, and yeah.
Is there ever moments, like maybe at the Thanksgiving table where when you're with like uncles or something and they're talking baseball and you're like, this is all I ever do. Can we talk about something else?
Um, Not really, because like I don't I don't really have a lot else to talk about, Like I think when people I run into people that I haven't seen in forever, like they'll be like, so how about the Sox before they say, so how are things?
Yeah.
Like going to the barber shop, it's not how are you doing, it's how are the Sox been? Um, which is fine because I would rather talk about the Red Sox than myself. I would rather be like if they're winning, then that's my source of happiness for that week.
Yeah.
Obviously, my life has changed a lot over like the last few years. Like I have a girlfriend, her two daughters. They live in my house now. We just got a puppy, so it's like, all right, like I have things about me that I can talk about that aren't necessarily about me. Like that's good. Like when people say like, um, I don't necessarily like when if I run into someone, it's like, "How are you doing?" I don't know how to answer that question, but if someone says, "How are the girls?" then it's like, "Oh, now I can talk about them," you know. Uh, but if someone says, "How's the Sox?" I'm like, "Yeah, like we can talk." Like I never get tired of talking about baseball or the Red Sox.
Um, was was your relationship early on very fever pitch like where you talked Red Sox a lot?
No, she doesn't care about baseball. So we went to high school together.
Okay.
She remembers me as like the skinny Red Sox fan that had like wore a Red Sox shirt every day and had like a Red Sox lanyard sticking out of my pocket. So like that's how she remembers me. We reconnected obviously many years later. But yeah, she doesn't care about baseball at all. Like that she'll sit on the couch if I'm watching the game, but she doesn't like she's not like a fan or anything like that.
Absolutely. And fun fact, I think you did a podcast towards the end of or you were podcasting with someone towards the end of your bar stool, and then when you left, I think you were still doing. I don't know. I forget the extent of it, but Pat Light, right?
Yeah.
Uh, a fun fact is, he was on our rivals in high school. He was on the rival baseball team.
Oh,
We faced
really?
him quite a bit. He went to Christian Brothers Academy in New Jersey, and I went to Middletown South. So they were in the same division, and then I continued to follow his career because he went to Monmouth University and worked his way as a first round pick, I think, of the Red Sox. So,
Yep.
um, yeah, I
He's
always
one of
thought
my best friends.
I always thought that was a cool connection. Is he still doing any type of content?
So now he owns like a bunch of bars in Hoboken and he makes content kind of like around being a bar owner. And he
Okay,
gives like hospitality advice and bar owner, restaurant owner advice. So like that's kind of his niche on social media. And he does really well for himself.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he was amazing in high school, and then he made a nice career at Monmouth because Monmouth guys don't usually get drafted, to be honest, and
No.
for him to get drafted in the first round was incredible. Um, is it cool if I ask a few baseball related questions
Yeah.
before we close out?
Sure.
So my buddy and I were having a debate the other day about buzz around pitchers. So obviously Paul Skeens has been looked at as like a once in a lifetime type pitcher ever since he entered the league for the Pirates. And we were thinking back to like guys who received similar buzz when they got to the pros. And I said Steven Strasburg when he got to the Nationals. I don't know if it's my co-host actually. I don't know if he agreed with me, and we got into this big debate back and forth. Would you say that's the last time we've seen this type of buzz from a pitcher?
Mm, from a young pitcher, yeah. Um, yeah, when Strasburg got called up, that was a very big deal. Um, Trying to think, like, has there been no one in between? Like, what year was that? 2012, I want to say.
The other names we thought of was before that even, like the Mark Pryor, Kerry Wood times.
Yeah, but even that, like, that was like the late 90s.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like I think like the Buzz guys have been position players. Like I remember stopping what I was doing at work in 2015 for Chris Bryant's debut. Uh, Jason Hayward's debut was a big deal.
Bryce Harper
Bryce
was looked at as
Harper's
like Babe Ruth,
debut.
I feel like.
Yeah, his debut was a big deal. Um, but yeah, as far as pitchers go, I don't recall anything coming close to like Skeens and Strasburg, at least like in my adult years.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard. And it's interesting too because it's such a pitcher's dominant um game right now, and I feel like the MLB is always constantly trying to make find ways to make offense a thing again. Um, do you feel like a lot of the aces are off to slow starts this year? I know Skeens just had his worst start since he got here. Five
Yeah,
earned
I've
runs
heard.
his last start. Scooble, I think, had a few rough starts. He turned it around against the Yankees his last time, I think. But I mean, Corbin Burns has a five something ERA. Like just around the league, it seems like guys are struggling to start the season. Um, do you think do you think like I don't want to get into like the niche of like torpedo bats or like juice balls, but do you think there's something happening in MLB right now?
No, I mean it for me, I don't think it's uncommon that aces get off to slow starts. Like I'm trying to think of like, like I can't remember what year it was, but I definitely remember during the time of me being like a stat nerd and on social media of compiling, like this ace, this ace, this ace, and that ace combined have like a 7 ERA through their first three starts each. I've seen it happen before. guys usually right the ship. I think the thing about spring training is like pitchers will tell you it's not long enough, and then hitters will tell you it's way too long.
Yeah.
So like there's no happy medium there. Like I think hitters, it'll take them a couple weeks to get calibrated and ready to go. But then pitchers, like it takes them so long to build up, and then as they're building up, they have setbacks. Well, they'll have like fatigue and they'll need to take time off and then come back. And then when they come back, they still have to ramp up. So a lot of guys are still getting in the groove of the new season, at least as far as pitchers go. So I mean, I don't have concerns about starting pitchers being it's like a legit down year for them until we get to the end of the month. Like if they're still struggling after 5 turns, then I'm like, all right, there's something tangible here. But 3 starts in, there's not a whole lot I can take from that.
Yeah. I'm sure you talked about this a little bit on your podcast. Been super busy since it happened, so haven't been able to listen to the recent episodes. But Vlad Guerrero obviously just got a contract from the Blue Jays. And one thing that I can't stand, and like I fight people to the death about this, is the Dodgers deferments. I think it's, in my opinion, I think it's a loophole to get around, the luxury tax. And I just don't think it's fair, honestly, for some owner to build up over $1 billion worth of deferments and then probably is just going to sell the team and that's how they're going to pay it off eventually. But I thought the Blue Jays did something cool. I think over half the contract for Vlad Guerrero is a signing bonus, and that's a fun way of doing it. But I wanted to know, like, what's your thoughts on like the deferments and what's your thoughts on the approach that the Blue Jays took here?
So they did 500 million over 14 years, and 350 million is the signing bonus. Um, and the reason why it's so interesting is because it is so like the way that his contract kind of breaks down is like his salary on the books for some years is like $12 million and 15, like it's all very low salaries, but that doesn't mean that that's his luxury tax hit. Like I think it's kind of like the average. I don't know what the equation is, but it's about 28-ish million, I want to say, is what the luxury tax hit ends up being on average. Um, but what's cool about the signing bonus is if there is a work stoppage, if they go on strike in a couple of years here, that he will still get paid.
Yeah.
So like the guys that have big league salaries, it's like, yeah, you're not getting paid if you don't play and there's a work stoppage. But if you have a signing bonus, then that bypasses that. So he'll still be able to get his money.
That's so smart on his part too, then. I didn't even
Right.
think of that side, honestly.
Yeah. So that's like he has protection there and he just has like a bunch of money up front and then it's not necessarily a team friendly deal. Like I think like an AAV approaching 30 million is still a nice chunk, but I think if you were to have it all paid out without the signing bonus, then there's more obstacles to kind of build around him. Like he wanted his worth while also giving the Blue Jays a chance to build a team around him because yeah, they're in first place entering play today, but they still have an uphill battle in terms of putting a roster on the field that's World Series contending talent. But I thought it was necessary for Toronto to be able to do it. I don't think that they could have afforded him going to free agency. I don't know that 500 million was out there for him. I don't know that another team would have been like, here's 550. I don't even think another team would have been like, here's 500. I just think if you're the Blue Jays and you were in on Juan Soto legitimately and you were in on Shohei Ohtani and you had $700 million on the table for these guys and they didn't choose you, then you need to sign the player that wants to choose you, but you're just not meeting his number. So they met his number. They gave him a very creative contract so that he's protected if there's a work stoppage. I think it's a win for both sides.
I just hope they continue to spend like this. They were in on a lot of free agents. A lot of free agents don't seem to pick them. I heard Canada has a tax that is not appealing to a lot of players.
Yeah.
But I just hope it doesn't turn into like an Angels Mike Trout situation where you sign him to this big contract and then you don't bring in other guys because it'd be a shame to waste that type of talent. I know as a Red Sox fan, I'm sure you don't
Yeah.
want the Blue Jays to be successful, but
I mean, I like again, I'm a baseball fan first. I obviously love the Red Sox probably
yeah,
more than people on planet Earth, but when they like I followed Vlad when he was from the time he was in Double A, like because he was playing for the Fisher Cats, like that's
yeah,
their Double A affiliate in New Hampshire. So I remember the first time I ever bought the minor league equivalent of MLB TV was to watch him. That was the first time I ever bought it. So I've watched his career from the beginning, and I'm happy. Like obviously, I want him on the Red Sox, but if that weren't going to happen, then it's cool that he's going to get to spend his entire career there. And you mentioned the taxes too. I believe his signing bonus is taxed less aggressively, more like Florida
yeah.
taxes
Oh
than
wow.
a salary would be. So he's making more of the 500 million because of the way that they structured it.
What's the chances that at this point, have you heard anything like the chances of a lockout? Like it sounds like baseball's pretty adamant about that salary cap at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think what is it, CNBC or whatever the hell had an article about it the other day. I was reading about it. There's gonna just be like if you're a fan, I would just kind of caution whatever you read about it because both sides are gonna be posturing and putting stuff out there to scare the other side.
Yeah,
So like the truth is gonna be somewhere in the middle in terms of if um we end up getting to a lockout, but I'm just skeptical about whatever information comes out this early because it's just one side putting out a feeler like how's the public going to react to this? Like that like we are basically used as the test dummies for what either side can get away with. Like one side
right.
is going to be like salary cap and then see if the fans bitch and moan and um yeah, we are used as the litmus test for how they're going to negotiate with each other. So I just take everything with a grain of salt when I read it.
Right. Two more questions. I know last season some people fall under the umbrella of the Mets give out some of the biggest contracts in baseball, but the run was magical in my opinion. I know I'm a Mets fan myself, but the way their season started, the pitching staff that they had, the starters on their staff, and the bullpen, quite frankly, and the fall off in the lineup too. I mean, you had guys like Tyrone Taylor, starting, Iglesias was starting, stuff like that. It just didn't have the recipe like in most seasons where they could make a run like that, and then next thing you know, they're in the NLCS playing the Dodgers. What team do you see in a similar situation this year that could make a run like that that not enough people are paying attention to? Is it the Red Sox?
See, like the thing about the Red Sox is I feel like once they got Bregman, everyone started picking them to win the division, which I didn't like. I mean, I did it too. Like I picked them to win the division too, but um, I think the Yankees should still be looked at as the team to beat until they're knocked off. Um, I like the Royals as kind of like that Cinderella story. At least from like the American League. I think the Padres, it's hard to pick the Padres though because they went to the playoffs last year and gave the Dodgers a run for their money. And the Dodgers afterwards were like, that was our World Series. But they did get worse. They are in a wild financial situation after Pete Sabler died. Um, so like the odds are kind of stacked against the Padres. I don't know that a lot of people pick them to make the playoffs this year. You could look at the Giants, like they've gotten off to a hot start.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, all the good teams are in the National League. Like I just
it's a gauntlet there.
yeah, like I don't know that I look at the American League and I'm like, oh, this team could surprise a lot of people. It's like, well, what does that mean? Are you the third wild card and you're going to lose and you're going to get swept in the division series? You're going to make it to, the ALCS and get swept. Like, there's no, like, I don't know that there's anyone that's stacking up against any of the best National League teams.
Absolutely. And I wanted to ask a Red Sox specific question because when Bloom was there, I feel like he put a conscious effort on the farm system, rebuilding that. I feel like the new group in the front office is kind of saying we haven't had starting pitching in so long. I know they made the Bregman signing, but they've really bolstered that starting rotation. Do you feel like that was like the big difference between the two, I guess, front offices was this Red Sox team realized that starting pitching was kind of a fault on the team and that they really went after it?
Yeah, I mean, like they needed starters, they needed innings. In the last couple of years in Boston, it was like you had two starters and three openers. Like you would look at the pitching probables and it would be TBD, TBD, and some guy from AAA, and it's like, all right, cool. Like, how am I supposed to get excited for this series? Like, I think the bar was so low to where I just want to be able to look at the probable starters and know who these people are, or that there's a name there at all. Um, so yeah, I think that that was something that they identified, and to the point where they had so much depth that they just traded, Quinn Priester. He's a former first round pick. They got him in the Nick York trade with the Pittsburgh Pirates. They just traded him to Milwaukee. So yeah, it went from like a great weakness to a position of strength where you have so much depth that you can even trade a guy.
Yeah, they're in a good spot. It's just like it feels like overnight that they just strengthened some of their biggest holes, and it should be a fun season. And baseball is better when Boston's having good sports or
No
a
doubt.
good summer. So, but that was Jared Carrabis. Really cool stuff. I really loved hearing some of the early stuff about the personal experience, but now with the baseball talk too. But thanks for coming on. Good luck with the season, and we'll definitely have to stay in contact.
No doubt, man. Thank you so much for having me, and best of luck with everything.